Go Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Mean of Revolution, and we got a war of the worlds, y'all. What the hell is going on with these drones? Let's get right into it. But before we do, be sure to wipe your feet. That means hit the like button. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform, y'all. Salute, family, salute. We got a lot to get into this morning. Is it Operation Blue Beam? Is it the war of the worlds? Have they sent up their drone to confuse us about the real things in the sky? I don't know. Let's get into it.
Look at him spraying. Look at that.
Good morning.
Look at that. He is spraying the sky again. Bro, this is crazy, man. Look at this guy. They're spraying the skies.
That's very disturbing that the news not showing that one of these drones.
Look at him spraying.
Been caught.
Look at that.
Spraying.
Look at that. He is spraying the sky again. Bro, this is crazy, man.
What chemicals are being released out of that?
Look at this guy.
Who the hell is doing that?
They're spraying the skies. Look, he just sprayed that. This guy. This guy just sprayed that.
Are you guys witnessing what this gentleman just witnessed in the skies? We have all types of reports coming in of these objects being witnessed by hundreds of people, if not thousands at this point. We now have proof that they're spraying something, which is very disturbing. The word is out there that this is some kind of government operation that's ongoing. It could involve the Space Force.
See, the problem is, it's happening in Russia, it's happening in China, it's happening all over the world. This is not a U.S. phenomenon anymore.
It looks like Elon Musk knows something's coming. He tweeted out in September that drone swarm battles are coming that will boggle the mind. And then he says, epic drone wars coming. He's done stated it. It's out there. And from the intel that I get, this is...
Revolutionary salute to our brother Samuel Booker for becoming a member of the House of Revolution. I appreciate your support, family. Salute to you.
Connected to our government, whatever different factions, space wars, whatever they've got rolling out here, radar operators are saying that they know what's going on, that they've been doing this for a minute. These are live drills being held by our military. They're going to continue all the way up through Christmas Eve, and that they're going to get bigger. So what do they have planned here, since they want to lie to all of us? What is the government spraying on the people now? Not from planes, not everything we've talked about through all the years. This is a drone. This is a drone. You just witnessed it. They're all over the skies. And now we're seeing that they're dispersing different stuff. We're also getting reports that they've been spotted over our bases in Germany. The main base we have there. And you know what they do there? It controls all the information for drones. If we're to fly a drone anywhere in the world over there, South Africa, to try to bomb someone, those signals are sent out from Germany. Even though the guys are controlling them in the U.S., it's controlled through the base in Germany that is now getting encroached as well. So now that we figured out...
That's like, as we go through all these videos, I believe that governments around the world are now putting their own objects into the sky to distract everybody from the objects in the sky that they can't control and don't. This is how you confuse everybody. And people start to think that it's all BS when they naturally see like those orbs that I videotaped that's been going around. You know, this is not U.S. technology or Russian technology or Chinese technology. This, you know, and I got one video that's gonna show y'all. We can go back to the 1800s. Now, when I play a video, we can go back to the 1800s where they were having these type of situations in America.
Pretty much that the government is fully behind all this. Why are they encroaching their own bases? Why are they doing this? Well, the word is it's a drill, a massive drill. For what? We don't know. But as Elon just said, epic battles are coming that will boggle the mind. I'd buckle up, and if you guys see anything like this, them spraying, dropping anything pertaining to these drones, let me know, dabu7@yahoo.com, or tag me on X.
And watch. And let's go back. Let's go back in time. Let's go to 1896, 1897 real quick. Then we'll come back to 2024. But if we can go back to 1896 and 1897 and find situations like this taking place, then we got to start looking at what the hell is going on here.
The airship incidents of the 1890s refer to a series of mysterious sightings of unidentified flying objects, described as airships or dirigibles, that were reported primarily in the United States between 1896 and 1897. These reports were widely covered by newspapers at the time and remain a fascinating topic for UFO enthusiasts, historians, and folklorists. The initial phenomena began in November 1896 in Sacramento, California. Witnesses described seeing a large cigar-shaped airship equipped with wings, lights, and propellers flying silently at night. Then the sightings began to spread. Reports of similar airships spread across the U.S., particularly the Midwest and in Texas in 1897. In some cases, witnesses claimed to have seen humanoid figures piloting the crafts or heard voices and sounds from the ships. The airships were typically described as advanced flying machines, resembling blimps with bright lights and sometimes strange mechanisms. Witnesses often compared them to the designs of early inventors like Jules Verne, though the technology described far exceeded the capabilities of the time. Some reports claimed some of the airships landed and their occupants interacted with the people on the ground. In Aurora, Texas, in April 1897, it was reported that an airship crashed, killing its pilot. The story even claimed the body of the pilot was not of this world, and local residents buried the being in their local cemetery. The late 19th century was a time of growing fascination with flight, fueled by inventors like the Wright brothers, and working on their heavier-than-air crafts. They also believe it could have been mass hysteria or misinterpretations of ordinary phenomena such as celestial events or experimental balloons might have fueled the sightings. The initial wave of airship sightings took place primarily in California from November 17th through late December 1896, with a few isolated sightings reported during January of 1897. There were also a handful of reports of an airship in Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia. Many newspaper accounts describe the sightings as part of a transcontinental flight by the airship's inventor. The November 18, 1896 editions of the Sacramento Bee and the San Francisco Call published accounts of the first sighting, which had taken place the night before. On the evening of November 17, 1896, citizens of Sacramento reported a bright light moving slowly across the sky at an estimated elevation of 1,000 feet. Some witnesses said they could see a dark shape behind the light. Witness Arda Lowry claimed that he heard a voice from the craft issuing commands to increase elevation in order to avoid hitting a church steeple. Lowry added, in what was no doubt meant as a wink to the reader, that he believed the apparent captain to be referring to the tower of a local brewery, as there were no churches nearby. Lowry further described the craft as being powered by two men exerting themselves on bicycle pedals. Above the pedaling men seemed to be a passenger compartment, which lay under the main body of the craft. A bright light was mounted on the front end. Some witnesses reported the sound of talking or singing as the light passed overhead. The November 19, 1896 edition of the Stockton, California Daily Mail featured one of the earliest accounts of an alleged alien craft sighting. Colonel H.G. Shaw claimed that while driving his buggy through the countryside of Lodi near Stockton, he came across what appeared to be a landed spacecraft. Shaw described it as having a metallic surface, which was completely featureless apart from a rudder and pointed ends. He estimated a diameter of 25 feet and said the vessel was around 150 feet in total length. 3 slender, 7-foot tall, apparent extraterrestrials were said to approach from the craft while emitting a strange warbling noise. The beings examined Shaw's buggy and then tried to physically force him to accompany them back to the airship. The aliens were said to give up after realizing they lacked the physical strength to force Shaw aboard. They boarded their ship, which lifted off the ground and sped out of sight. Shaw believed that the beings were Martians sent to kidnap an Earthling for unknowable but potentially nefarious purposes. This has been seen by some as an early attempt at alien abduction. It is possibly the first published account of explicitly extraterrestrial beings attempting to abduct humans and force them into their spacecraft. The mystery light reappeared over Sacramento on the evening of November 22nd. Among the observers were Sacramento's deputy sheriff and district attorney. After November 23rd, a bunch of different California cities started having sightings. Anderson, Red Bluff, Redding, Yolo, Leandro, San Jose, Acampo, Lodi, Landing, Turlock, and just to name a few. Los Angeles, with public interest in the airship sightings running high, a young San Francisco attorney named George D. Collins came forward and told the newspapers that he represented the mysterious airship's inventor, who disclosed to the attorney that he had been building a large airship at a secret location in Oroville, about 60 miles from Sacramento. Collins stated that the lights seen over Sacramento must have been his client conducting nocturnal test flights before an official unveiling of his secret invention. This explanation seemed reasonable to many and was given extensive coverage in the San Francisco newspapers. After Collins' announcement, rumors and wild tales began to spread, and for several weeks, the Phantom airship was the biggest news story in Northern California. As sightings and reports of mysterious lights continued to increase throughout the state, Attorney Collins found himself the center of so much attention and ridicule that he came to regret his earlier bragging. The San Francisco Chronicle nicknamed him Airship Collins, and after being hounded by reporters and harassed by cranks and curious busybodies, Collins recanted some of his claims and actually fled into hiding. Around the time Collins began distancing himself from his airship claims, William Henry Harrison Hart, former Attorney General of the state of California, came forth and also claimed to represent the inventor. Hart gave several lengthy interviews to the press, and details concerning the mysterious airship were even more outlandish than those of Attorney Collins. Among them, airship was likely going to be used to bomb Havana, Cuba, and there were actually 2 airships, one built in California, the other in New Jersey. Like Collins, Hart later modified his earlier stories and eventually stopped talking to the newspapers about his alleged connection to the airship. So basically, those were most likely fabricated stories by the government and planted. The March 28, 1897 edition of the Rocky Mountain News published a report of a sighting in Topeka, Kansas, where several hundred witnesses observed a blood-red light moving slowly across the sky. Some people were reportedly so frightened by the sight that they hid in their storm cellars, fearing that a great calamity was impending. Among the witnesses to the event was Governor of Kansas, John W. Leedy. The first airship sighting in Michigan was on April 10, 1897 at Alma, followed by sightings from Benton Harbor, Holland, Niles, and Mendon, all on April 11th. On April 12th, the airship was seen over Battle Creek and Kalamazoo, Michigan, and an airborne explosion was seen in Pavilion, with alleged airship debris being found there and nearby in Comstock. The next night, a farmer living north of Battle Creek claimed that the airship came within 100 feet of a field on their farm, and a wheel fell off the airship and was embedded in the ground. Sightings peaked around April 15th, but continued into early May. After trying unsuccessfully to free the heifer, Hamilton cut loose a portion of the fence, then stood in amazement to see the ship and the cow all rise slowly and sail off. Some have suggested that this was the earliest report of cattle mutilation. In 1977, however, Jerome Clark debunked this story and confirmed via interviews and Hamilton's own affidavit that the story was a successful attempt to win a Liars Club competition to create the most outlandish tall tale. Later sightings in 1909, a series of mystery airship sightings reported around New England, were likely triggered by a hoax by William Tillinghast, who falsely claimed to have invented and flown a heavier-than-air craft from Worcester to New York City. Airship sightings were also reported from New Zealand, Australia, and various European locations, including the United Kingdom, where a hoax by M.B. Boyd similarly triggered the wave of alleged airship sightings. By this time, airship technology had greatly advanced, and several successful powered airships, including Zeppelins, had been built and flown. There had been 47 powered flights in 1909 and hundreds of news articles about aeronautics, so wide-ranging airship claims likely appeared plausible to the public. Later reports came from the United Kingdom in 1912 and 1913. Jerome Clark wrote that one curious feature of the post 1897 airship waves was the failure of each to stick in historical memory. Although 1909, for example, brought a flood of sightings worldwide and attendant discussion and speculation, contemporary accounts do not allude to the hugely publicized events of little more than a decade earlier. An account by Alexander Hamilton himself of Leroy, Kansas, supposedly occurred around April 19, 1897, and was published in the Yates Center Farmers Advocate of April 23rd. Hamilton and his son had a hired hand witness an airship hovering over the cattle pen. Upon closer examination, the witnesses realized that a red cable from the airship had lassoed a heifer, but had also become entangled in the pen's fence. After trying unsuccessfully to free the heifer, Hamilton cut loose a portion of the fence, then stood in amazement to see the ship and the cow all rise slowly and sail off. Some have suggested that this was the earliest report of cattle mutilation. Airship sightings were also reported from New Zealand, Australia, and various European locations, including the United Kingdom. So many believe that the Great Airship Mystery was actually a more advanced civilization planting seeds within our consciousness to gain us or influence us to work to achieve flight, to plant this idea in our heads so we would work towards that goal. And what did we do? We learned how to fly. Now, these craft are much more advanced than we've ever seen. They can generally hover, they fly very fast, they have EMPs, super advanced tech, and they can seem to disappear on a whim. We haven't really experienced anything quite like it, and they're not being bashful about showing themselves, whoever they are. Do I believe that some of these are government craft? I do. I do believe that they have much more advanced technology than they ever show. The government has had the ability to create anti-gravity drones for quite some time now. I think they're just softening the public up, possibly. And this is just my theory or my opinion. Stay in the love, stay in the light, be kind to others, y'all. I am out.
And it keeps zipping out towards the ocean and then coming back in about, 20 miles or closer.
Do you remember when I made that video and I spoke about that computer software that predicted a particular event that was going to happen from the 3rd or the 4th of December onwards? Is this what they're talking about? The situation in New Jersey with the UAPs has gone from crazy to ridiculous. What's occurred within the last few hours?
Revolutionary salute to our family, Vincent Brown Scott, for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. Absolutely appreciate the love, family. Salute.
Is madness. I've got a few bits of footage I'm going to show you, okay? But I wanted to make this video because there is a very split decision as to what and where these UAPs are coming from. Are they man-made or are they alien-made, right? Alien technology. I don't think we can get the answers by asking who, what, where, right? Maybe it's why are they here? Why New Jersey? Because maybe if we can find out why, then maybe we can find out who, right? So
what's
if
crazy is I'm seeing that New Jersey was the location of the War of the World hoax from back in the day when they scared the hell out of everybody on the radio and had them think it was an alien invasion. I see that took place in New Jersey too.
To ask yourself why? Why New Jersey? Okay. There's two things that come to mind.
Family.
One,
Love.
is the most populated state in the whole of the United States per square mile, the most populated state. Okay, so if you're an alien and you wanted to observe us, wouldn't that be a perfect location? And not only that, if these UAPs, if these aliens are coming from the ocean, it's sat right next to the North Atlantic, right? So you pop up out of the water, you come across, you do a little bit of observation. If shit goes down, you can quickly escape, go back underwater. Maybe this is the reason why these sightings aren't really coming from inland, right? They're also reaching up near the capital of the United States, New York, okay? In the LaGuardia, is it in the LaGuardia? LaGuardia Airport. In the LaGuardia Airport, that I've got footage now of UFOs, UAPs over there. They're spreading. They're getting a little bit more cheeky, right? So this would tell me that if it was alien tech, this is a perfect place. But then if it's human tech, a lot of people saying that it's testing. They're testing these new drone equipment out. But would you really test that equipment, brand new equipment, over the most densely populated state in the whole of the United States? Because some people are saying that this is Elon Musk. If these are drones the size of small cars, especially when it's cold weather as well, drones stay up in the air for a maximum of 20 minutes. Who's got good batteries? Well, Elon Musk has invested a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of dedication into, making incredible batteries. So I had a little look at it. Is Elon Musk doing anything to do with drones? In 2017, Elon Musk told the world he was certain that artificial intelligence would lead us to World War III. His viral comments evoked visions of Terminator's feet crushing apart skulls, robotic airplanes hunting down humans. Now, however, it appears Musk has changed his mind. In a series of recent posts on X, Musk has become a vocal advocate for replacing manned jets like F-35 Lightning II with drone swarms controlled by AI hive minds. Tesla CEO Elon Musk hinting at drone production. Morgan Stanley. So here we go. It's Morgan Stanley, Tesla Inc., drones. Is it me, or are you seeing more breadcrumbs from Tesla's CEO that could potentially connect Tesla aviation? Basically, he goes into shares. If he gets involved with drones, aircrafts, shares could go up to $1,000. I'm not too sure. What do you think? Is it anything to do with Elon Musk? I think it's a bit of a stretch if we're going that far. There was another one that I saw. Joshua Bonner. Look into these companies, Anduril and Preto Dynamics, big money and big moves within AI surveillance drone defense. One is Lucky Palmer, former founder of Oculus. Palmer Lucky. That was his name. That is his name. He's a bit of an oddball, him, because he did create this virtual reality headset that was a one-off, apparently. And apparently, if you played this game and died in the game, the headset would make you in real life. Palmer Lucky defense company. So what? Hang on, Palmer Lucky. So he is actually the CEO of
Revolutionary salute to our family, Brooklyn Zoo, for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a real life. Absolutely appreciate the love, family. Salute to you.
Palmer Lucky death headset. Palmer Lucky made a VR headset that kills the user if they die in the game.
How psychopathic is this?
So this is the person that has started up this company. He is the founder of this company. So it looks like Anduril is creating a drone, an AI operated drone. There's also quite a fair bit of history regarding UFOs over in New Jersey. In 2001, the Carteret UFO incident, Carteret, New Jersey, and surrounding areas, including New Jersey Turnpike. Multiple witnesses, including the law enforcement and truck drivers, reported seeing a series of strange lights hovering over the New Jersey Turnpike for about 15 minutes. The lights were in a V-shaped formation and did not make any sound. The FAA and the local authorities could not explain the phenomenon and remains one of the most famous UFO cases in New Jersey. The Wanakee Reservoir incident. Witnesses, including police officers, reported seeing a bright glowing object hovering over the reservoir. The object repeatedly emitted a beam of light that appeared to interact with the water. Some described it as a disc-shaped craft. The event led to widespread media coverage at the time. The Great Airship Wave of the late 1800s. During a wave of sightings of mysterious airships across the US, there are reports from New Jersey residents about seeing large cigar-shaped crafts in the sky. These incidents occurred before the advent of airplanes and sparked national curiosity. UFOs at New Jersey shore. Common reports include strange lights over the ocean, triangular-shaped objects, and unexplained hovering crafts near popular beaches like Seaside Heights and Cape May. Ongoing reports and modern sightings. Some reports have increased in recent years, coinciding with the broader public interest of UFOs, especially after the US government released declassified information about the unidentified aerial phenomena, the UAP. New Jersey has an active communities of UFO enthusiasts and discuss sightings and theories. So it's quite a hot place for UAPs to hang out, right? And so again, that argues for it to be alien tech. Now, also, we've got technology called AUKUS that can basically fire a signal or a beam of some sort and drop drones from the sky. Okay, this is our defense mechanism for drones. But apparently, this frequency is just something we don't know about. Listen to this.
We had this report from the New Jersey State Police now admitting that they have revealed that unidentified drones are operating on a frequency that cannot be detected. Okay, we can't detect the frequency? We don't know, admits the New Jersey State Police. We don't know what these things are.
Not just a frequency that we can't jam, but also undetectable in radar.
Is there any military activity out straight ahead of us?
No, we're not seeing anything. I had another one report at like 30,000 feet in the Eugene area. We're not sure what it is.
Yeah, there's lots moving out there.
1506, yeah, they're looking into it.
We're seeing 3 or 4 targets. You know, they're all altitudes, up and down. It's pretty crazy. There was some at 30 probably. But, I mean, they're shooting way up. We say maybe up to the 50s, it looks like. Is there traffic actually out about our 2 to 3 o'clock, about, I don't know, 20, 30 miles?
No, is that the 4 different lights going up and down? I'm getting a few reports, but you're seeing it right in front of you now too as well?
It's 2 to 3 o'clock off, that 2 to 3 o'clock from our position. Looks about 20 miles going in circles.
Medevac 1 Lima Foxtrot, yeah, we're not seeing anything, getting lots of different reports out there, some at 30, some all the way up to 50,000, about 3 or 4 different lights. Does it look like they're around your altitude now?
No, there's one way up high and one about my altitude, moving in like a circle, like a corkscrew pattern. All right, I'm visually have eyes on what looks like an aircraft strobe that's at my 2 o'clock and 22 miles at my altitude. I'm actually showing him on PCAS. Do you see that one?
Medevac 1 Lima Foxtrot, I do not.
He looks like he's moving towards, it looks like it's moving towards the north. Like I said, 22 and a half miles off my right wing. Just had another one show up about my 1 o'clock, about 1,000 feet high, zipping towards us and then back out towards the ocean. It's red in color, moving at extreme speeds. I don't even know how to describe how fast it is. My 661 on the Fox. Critical Name Foxtrot, Roger. You are cleared to maneuver as necessary, left and right, to avoid the UFO out there. It's weird. It's a red circular shape, and it keeps zipping out towards the ocean, and then coming back in about 20 miles or closer to us, and then zips back out of the ocean, and we can't see it. Is there any military activity out straight ahead of us?
No, we're not seeing anything. I had another one report at like 30,000 feet in the Eugene area. We're not sure what it is.
So he literally said there that these UAPs are moving to and fro from the ocean to land, back again, moving back and forth. Bit like this video. This is what I'm saying. This has been going on for years. And yes, okay, these look different to what your stereotypical UAPs look like, right? But this video that I'm going to show you now, this was from 1994. This is what's been happening for so many years.
We're either being surrounded by friggin' UFOs or the Coast Guard. I want us in. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lights we see there. They've been coming on. They worked 7 lights.
Here's some live footage of UAPs coming out or coming from the ocean, okay, in Island Beach State Park. And not only that, someone's actually managed to capture what looks like some portal of some sort in the sky, right? A live cam on Sea Bright Beach webcam. This is what they're referring to. Some sort of portal opening up. What? This was captured live. And people are going to be saying Tesla. That's not Tesla rocket. But what is that? And here's an interesting video as well. A lady is recording off of her balcony. You actually see the scale of what's going on here. But something crazy is going on in the sky. It's not just the UAPs. Take a look at this.
Okay, so for context, this is what you're going to see in the next video. This is the view off my balcony. That is South Jersey. That is Jersey City. Over here is New York City. There is nothing in this area. There's no stadiums, no cities, no bridges, nothing.
Watch this sky now.
Calm down.
I'm not too sure what's going on with the audio. It sounds like some sort of noise cancellation, cancelling her voice or something like that. But what sort of direction? So what did she say?
Okay, so for context, this is what you're going to see in the next video. This is the view off my balcony. That is South Jersey.
So that's South Jersey. Have a look. So she must have been, so New York here, South Jersey. So South Jersey. She must have been out here, right? So she's looking, pointing South Jersey. And then to the left, she looked at New York. She seemed closer to New York. Either way, New York was on the left, New Jersey she pointed to on the right. Yeah? So straight out there, over the ocean, was this weird light going on.
That is Jersey City.
Okay, Jersey City.
Over here is New York City.
Okay, right along the river there, right? So this is it. She's got to be along here somewhere. So she's looking right out. Now, there is something here. Was there fireworks going on? Was there something? Because she is looking that way. Maybe, I'm not too sure, but definitely something strange what she's seeing. Like, you know, if that's her balcony, she's seen that view, quite a beautiful view, by the way, right? She's seen that view a lot and obviously recorded this because it's not something that she's seen before. Quite strange. Usbury Park Boardwalk Beach Cam, drones launched from the ocean. Here we go. These drones are coming from the ocean. So I think what's happening is as time goes on, more and more evidence shows that these things are coming from the ocean. And I know that Congress has spoken about that. The Pentagon, I think, has maybe said that as well, or suggested that. In fact, they're keeping their mouths shut more so. But the more that the people record and collect information, the more we're discovering, yeah, these things are actually coming from the ocean. Point Pleasant Beach.
2 there. 2 there. Ignore the light on the jetty. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. That one above might be an airplane. I don't know. These are boats, I guess. There's fishing boats coming in. They're just kind of sitting there with their lights on.
Imagine what they're seeing.
That's 2 drones there. And there's 2 here. This one, bright one, has been doing that. And that's kind of all I see at the moment. These boats are maybe hunting for drones too, maybe. But right there, see those guys? And this is Point Pleasant Beach. There's been some air traffic. I just had somebody up here that was looking at some weather, or not weather, a flight app. There's no airplanes around. But man, they are out tonight. December 12th, 2024, Point Pleasant Beach.
It's got way past the point now of people reporting these things in the air, right? Because it's such a hot topic, talk of the town. No one's reporting these now. They're just recording them and putting them up on TikTok. Here's new footage that has risen recently. A UAP drone emerges from the ocean in New Jersey. Now, that I don't know what this white thing is here. Is that a rocket launch? Like, what is this bit here as well, though, right? Because see this bit here? This is what I saw on the other one here. Is this the same thing? What is that? It looks like maybe that's like a ship or something out there. Now, in yesterday's video, I spoke a little bit about what these drones are looking like when people are zooming in on them on a DSLR camera. What we saw was absolutely incredible. Some sort of interference. Maybe this is something to do with that frequency that can't be picked up on. But this is probably the clearest image you're going to see of this weird. Is it a force field? Is it some sort of just a glitch, interference? I don't know, but it's very clear. Take a look at this. Clear footage of drones UAP is captured in New Jersey morphing into plane. This is a recent footage. This is morphing into a plane. I mean, is that like a glitch? Because it's out of focus when it's trying to zoom in and the DSLR is trying to work out and it's just putting it into a big ball. But now it's focusing because it's getting closer. That's the more logical reason, right? But that, you can't deny, that is the New Jersey drone. But that, I mean, I've seen blur. I've got 4 DSLR cameras, right? DSLR. And I've zoomed in on lights and been out night photography and things like that. I don't see blurs like this. I've got to be honest with you. I don't see blurs like this. This is East Brunswick in New Jersey. This gentleman watched one of these just disappear. This gentleman's recording outside of his car window. One of these UAPs just disappears, right? It either moves away extremely quickly or just disappears.
Holy shit, where the hell did the other one come from? The other one's vanished.
Look how bright and big these things are.
These are fucking UFOs. Holy shit.
These things are just appearing.
I zoomed in on both of them. I don't fucking know.
Notice at certain points as well, these things go yellow, right? And we've seen many of these yellow orbs flying around. Have they always been these drone things? Have these drones got more capabilities than we think?
County too. Salute, family.
They're hovering around New Jersey right now, very slow, being up there for 2 hours at a time. Okay, which is way more than your battery can last, especially for something the size of a car. And these yellow orbs have been seen to just dot around, vanish, maneuver like on a dime. Is that their cloaking? Like that energy ball that we just saw in the previous video. So we can't see them. We can't see exactly what they are. They're just glowing balls of light. I mentioned earlier that these drones now in LaGuardia Airport, okay, in New York. Look at this. Here they are. They're moving out. They're branching out. No, I said when I did the video the other day about that computer software that predicted a major UAP event happening from the 3rd or 4th of December onwards. Is this what we're seeing? They predicted it predicted a sky battle, a UAP versus UAP, UAP versus man-made planes battle in the sky. Now look at this. Now this has been sent to me so many times. A UAP from New Jersey actually firing. I don't know what at, but it's firing something. Check this out.
One revolutionary salute to our brother Randy Thompson for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. Appreciate the love, family. Salute to you.
It does look like a UAP. Look at this. And look how that moves, how it shifts.
See, you got so much real stuff in the sky. The governments have started putting BS in the sky to throw everybody off and everybody doubt what they're seeing. You see, the government right now, they even on the news, they got to report some shit, but they're reporting a bunch of the BS instead of the actual video that people are really posting all over the goddamn country. Real shit that's in the sky that don't make no sense.
What is it firing at?
Completely stationary shooting.
Why isn't this all over the news? Watch it just shift. In a second, it shoots and then just shifts like that and then moves slowly.
Motherfucker.
It's moving so bizarrely.
Holy cow. That thing is completely stationary shooting.
And not only that, there's videos now of these things leaving some sort of trail, spraying something, right?
Look at this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Look at him spraying.
I started off with that.
Look at that.
What is it spraying?
He is spraying the sky.
Now, if that is a New Jersey UAP or drone and it's spraying, that really puts a spanner in the works, because that would suggest, or what would it suggest? I don't know. What is it spraying?
Again. Bro, this is fucking crazy, man.
Is it spraying or is that a trail?
Hold on.
Look at this guy.
Hold on. Revolutionary salute to our brother Tony Anderson for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. I appreciate the love, family. Salute.
They're spraying the skies.
We want to know what these drones is spraying. What the hell is going on?
Look at all of them. Imagine.
Sprayed that. This guy.
Imagine just showing this to somebody from 5 years ago, less than that, saying, look what's going to happen in the skies at some point. You know, what? You on about, mate? UFOs don't exist.
This guy just sprayed that.
More drones over Manhattan. This is great footage. Look at this. Look at the state of this. This should be world news. Updated 24/7. Live 24/7. From major news outlets. But the only people that are covering it is you guys recording on your camera and us YouTubers and TikTokers, right? Social media platforms. So many people that are covering it.
Watch. See, we're going to get to what the fake news is talking about. They're throwing everybody off with the BS they're putting in the sky so people will doubt and be confused at what's really going on.
Properly, in depth.
They have no control over the shit they can't stop, shit that's been going on for thousands of years.
Trying to work out the answers. They're all over the place. Orcas can't bring it down, they've said. Because of the frequency's not there. They can't be detected.
They gotta humble themselves.
Apparently, when they're approached, they go dark and shoot off, probably back to the Atlantic, underwater again, like the footage I've just shown you. This is incredible. So that few sentences that I just told you then screams alien tech, right? But the caveat to that is over the most densely populated state in America, they want to be seen. If this is alien tech, they want to be seen clearly. Now listen to this girl. She's a local in New Jersey.
I live in New Jersey. These drones are on top of my house every single night, and here's why. I really think they're aliens. Going to insert a video. There was about 10 of them on top of my house last night, and they are car-sized. They are huge. They really are the size of small cars. But 2 nights ago, one of them crashed 15 minutes from. So by the time the drone...
One of them crashed. She says one of them crashed 50, like, yeah? Which I mentioned, and I...
Okay, I think I got some video talking about those crashes, but I think the crashes were other drones that were trying to follow these drones, and these drones were crashed. Okay, if that's true, that means it's the U.S. government is using anti-drone technology, but they're not bringing those drones down. People who trying to follow those drones, they getting brought down.
And I showed you footage of a crash site, or flames, I should say, but we didn't know any more about it. Now, she's got a photo of this. We go back a little bit.
They are car-sized. They are huge. They really are the size of small cars. But 2 nights ago, one of them crashed 15 minutes from. So by the time the drone crashed until I got there, it was about an hour. When I got there, it wasn't there.
The big ones might have crashed.
There was no drone, and I have a picture of it when it... I have a picture of it when it crashed. There was no drone, and there was like 2 cop cars. Where the fuck did it go? Who took it within an hour of it crashing? Like, what? And of course, nobody has answers. The FBI doesn't have an answer. Our governor doesn't have an answer. Like, nobody knows. But apparently we're safe and we have nothing to worry about, but nobody knows what they are. So I do think they're aliens. I do not think they're from Iran. I do not think they're from China, because when aliens don't mean any harm and they want peace and they're protecting us, they're going to morph themselves into something familiar like a drone. Even though they're car-sized, we're still familiar with drones. If aliens wanted harm, we'd be walking out to Will Smith and freaking Independence Day. Okay,
I agree with that. And this is what I'm saying. There's a lot of people saying, can you be serious? These things with green and red flashing lights and stuff. Yeah. Like, if we went over to another planet and we wanted to let that planet know of our presence, but discreetly, softly, we wouldn't go in there with our fucking Harrier jump jet, right? We would look at their tech and go, look, we need to just go in there softly, just say, look, we're like you, we're okay, right? And try to mimic their crafts in some way. I'm not saying that they are absolutely 100% alien beings, like the movie right? Alien tech. I'm just saying that's common sense. But if the government wanted to create a story of an alien attack, right? Let's put it this way. If the government said, okay, we need Project Bluebeam going in full force now. We need to create some sort of alien attack, right? We need to scare the public. Would they make drones that look like human tech drones with blinking lights? No, they wouldn't. They would create some crazy ass shape that does some weird stuff in the sky to freak us out.
I really do think that they're here because they live here too, and I'll tell you where they live. They're here to stop World War III for us because they live here too. This is their home too. And in case you didn't know, 80% of our oceans are unexplored, and this is where they are coming from. The aliens live in the ocean. Call me crazy, that's fine, but this is really what I believe, and all I'm going to be doing is praying and hoping for the best. I live in New Jersey.
Okay. Now, let's go to this individual here.
I live in North Jersey and I've seen the drones. I'm also an environmental science major and I've taken classes that pertain to this. I've taken a GIS, Geographic Information Systems course, and I've also taken a drones course where we learn how to use government-style drones. We had an opportunity to actually get a government license from the course. We learned how to fly the drones around to collect data using LiDAR, and this data was visual and non-visual data. And in GIS, we would interpret that data. Think of software like Google Earth. I see a lot of people asking, why don't we just fly a drone up and then figure out what these things are? That's very illegal. Any person in possession of a drone that's equipped to fly high enough and have a long enough battery life to check out what these things are, they need a government license. They also need a permit to fly in any airspace.
I think that's different in the UK. As long as you've got the license and you're not flying over I suppose a heavy populated area, yeah. But that's more like a crowd of people. Like you can't fly over a concert or a ball game or something like that. You can fly over a city. You just need a license if it's over a certain weight. Like mine, and somebody went back and forth with me on this. Mine, my DJI Mini 2, I think it is. I don't need a license for that because it's it's like a couple of grams under the certain weight. So I don't need to go for my course and go for a license. I could just fly it. But if that was happening in my town, Newquay, I know for a fact my mate Mace and me would be out there with drones. His drone he needs a license for it. We'd be out there, mate. We'd be up there checking these things out. So maybe it's different in the United States.
And the fact that these drones are in restricted airspace is very fishy to me, because why wouldn't the government figure out what they are, right? In my humble opinion, whatever they are, the government knows what they are already. In my opinion, they're not disclosing everything for a specific reason. Do I know what reason it is? It could be a million things, bro. Didn't major in politics. But the government holding a meeting in New Jersey, that was all theatrics. It's so that the public doesn't freak out.
I think she speaks a lot of facts there. I think there is a lot of that. I think we are only told what we need to be told, which I think in some ways, for especially the people in New Jersey, is good news, because if they do know a lot more than we do and they're not shooting them down now, I don't think that they're a threat. I don't think so. Anyway, thank you so much. Although we didn't get any answers.
What's crazy is, what if they're scared to shoot because they know they'll shoot back? That's what really would be crazy. If they was absolutely scared to shoot at them because they don't want to go to war.
Wow, it's really close. It's right there.
Last night might quite possibly be the craziest night we've had yet when it comes to these mysterious drones that are floating in our skies. We have reports that drones were flying over the Bronx last night. We got reports that drones were flying over portions of Pennsylvania. And we got 2 official reports about downed, crashed drones in New Jersey. Not 1, but 2 reports. And you know me, I got the police dispatch audio, and we're about to tune into it right now.
County from 85. What was the exact call that this wasn't actually saw it crash or heard it crash?
For the caller, a drone fell out of the sky by the power lines behind their house. And then 10 more showed up.
Now, from my understanding, and listen, you got to take everything these people say with a grain of salt. But a drone did come down, but from my understanding, they're claiming that this was not one of the mysterious drones, but the drone that came down was, I guess, a random civilian's drone who was trying to follow the other bigger, crazier drones. Now, are they telling the truth? I don't know. All we can do right now is take their word from it, but I made a video about this yesterday. I'm not sure how many of you all saw it, but several people in New Jersey, and when I say several, dozens of people in New Jersey have reported that they're having problems flying their drones now. People are reporting that they're flying their drones in the sky fully charged, and then all of a sudden the battery will just go dead. People are reporting that the cameras are malfunctioning on their drones, that their drones simply just are not really working anymore ever since these other mysterious drones popped up. And whenever someone tries to fly their drone nearby, it will go dead, malfunction, fall out of the sky or whatever. So these mysterious drones, wherever they're coming from, it appears that they have some type of electrical, jamming technology, which is how they're able to bring down the other drones that are following them, and in some cases not even appear on certain radars and stuff like that. So whatever these mysterious drones are, they have a lot of technology packed within them. So I believe this may be the case, that someone tried to fly up their drone to try to capture these other drones on video or follow them, and their drone came crashing down right in someone's backyard. Let's go ahead and look at some more details. A drone fell out of the sky and crashed into a New Jersey homeowner's backyard on Thursday night, authorities have confirmed, as the unexplained phenomena continue to rattle residents in the Garden State. The aircraft crashed down in a residential area of Pequannock Township in Morris County around 8:45 Thursday, according to police and dispatch audio. Officials determined that the craft was a hobby or toy type of drone and not a large commercial or military grade drone, the police department says. When media outlets arrived at the crash site Thursday night, the resident who reported the crash was putting his trash cans out, and he declined to comment. However, as paranoia grips the state, the report of one crashing into a homeowner's backyard had the mayor rushing to the scene. The mayor, Ryan Hurd, pulled up in a Ford Econoline work van to survey the crash scene for himself. Hurd says it is definitely not one of the massive car-sized drones that purportedly have been hovering overhead. He said he's absolutely concerned that nobody knows whose drones are flying over us and what they're flying over us for and where they're taking off or landing. Drones are flying over our houses, which is our private property. My family is here, the mayor added. The Morris County Prosecutor's Office is investigating the incident. Meanwhile, there was also a second report of a downed drone that hit a power line in nearby Randolph Township less than an hour later. In a follow-up phone call on Friday morning, Mayor Hurd urged residents not to chase after or shoot at or attempt to catch any of the large drones. We can't be putting up Class 1 and Class 2 drones trying to follow these drones. God forbid something happens and it crashes into the big drone, and the big drone crashes into a house, and kills 6 people, that's going to be a problem, he said. Now, I'm sorry. Let's pump the brakes here really quickly. I'm sorry, the way my mind's set up, I'm kind of paranoid, and that was a little specific. I get the warning. I agree with him, but it's a little specific. Like, hey, we don't want one of these big car-sized drones crashing into a home and killing 6 people, do we? It's like, are y'all planning on this happening? But this is the point that I've been trying to make for over a week now. Like, what we're doing right now is we're waiting for a tragedy to happen before actions are taken. We could take actions now, and we can ensure that no one loses their life or anything like that behind these drones, right? But we're not. We're not. And as he just said, all it takes is for someone to fly one of their drones up there, crash into one of the big drones.
What's crazy now is they giving terrorists and people the idea to just get a bunch of drones, try to get them as heavy as you can, put them up in the sky, and just let them crash into people. That'll cause a bunch of terror.
Big drone comes crashing down into a gas station, an apartment building, or a home, causing loss of life. Who knows what type of destruction it could cause? But why do we have to wait for something like that to happen before actions are taken? We need to take the actions now, because you can't have these giant-sized drones flying over residential areas saying that they pose no threat to anyone. Because simply, if they malfunction, if they run out of gas or battery life or however they're powered, or anything, if they come down on someone's home, it's going to be disastrous, right? It's going to be a freaking disaster. I mean, even one of your little toy drones, I guess, you know, hypothetically speaking, it could fall out the sky and kill someone as well. But think about a drone the size of a small, like, special ed short school bus flying in the sky, crashing into your house. So all I'm saying is they cannot keep saying that these things don't pose a threat, because simple enough, if whoever is operating these things has a bad day or they make a mistake and one of these things come down, they're too large not to cause massive damage. It's basically the same as a small, like, you know, airplane crashing into your house. But hey, it's like we're going to sit back, patiently wait for that to happen before anything is done about this. But from what they're claiming, you know, the drone that went down, at least in this situation, is just a regular person's drone. Like I said, I don't know if we can believe them or not. And one thing I do know is that all of these drones that are flying in the sky over New Jersey, not all of them are identical. I don't think all of them look exactly the same. I think they're using different types of drones. At least that's my opinion, because I've seen videos of several different looking crafts in the sky flying very low altitude. So I don't think that they're all the winged drones that kind of resemble an airplane. I think they're using different types of drones. But hey, even if this was one of the mysterious drones, I'm not sure if they would tell us the truth about the situation. So we're all kind of sitting here waiting to find out more. But we have now officially reached a new chapter in this story where, you know, these things are starting to fall out of the sky, or drones at the very least trying to follow these other drones are falling out of the sky. So, you know, this story is starting to get a little more dangerous. And
We're going to do everything we can to find out, and we're going to share as much.
The White House National Security Communications Advisor and Assistant to the President. John, good to have you with us. You know, what do you make of the reaction? A lot of people were unhappy with that comment that you made yesterday, and felt like you were, you know, telling people that they were nuts or that they didn't know what they were seeing with their own eyes.
No, not at all, Martha. That's the farthest thing that I would ever do. I was simply reiterating what the FBI and what the Department of Homeland Security have relayed to us about what they've been able to corroborate. And we haven't been able to corroborate everything. I said many of the corroborated sightings
that's weird.
have turned out to be piloted aircraft. I didn't say all of them, and what I said was those are the ones we were able to corroborate. There's certainly ones that we have not been able to, and we don't know the answer to it. And I strongly recommend that for folks that are seeing these things and documenting them to share that as they can with Department of Homeland Security. And the
All right, well,
FBI,
let's do that. Let's share it with you right now. Let's put up this photo. This is the close-up one. Here we go. This is in Bernardsville, New Jersey. So, John, are you able to see this photo?
No, ma'am.
You don't have a monitor there?
No, actually, I turned the monitor off.
Yeah,
It's distracting.
All right. Well, you'll have to take a look at it after.
Just finna show this boy the evidence. She said, "Are you looking?" Oh no, I turned it off. Oh, I don't need to see it. Just describe it to me. You fucking clown. You know you lying, and she's exposing your ass on live TV.
I can describe it to you. It is large. It has a white bar that goes through the middle. The right-hand side is half lit up white on the top and red on the bottom. The other side is green. So what would that, you're a former military person yourself. You're an admiral. You're the White House National Security Communications advisor. I'm sure you have seen some of these images. So what is that we're looking at?
It's difficult for me to tell you, Martha. We don't really know. It is possible that some of these things could be commercial drones, developed for commerçal purposes. It's possible that they could be owned by private citizens.
But why don't we know, John? That's the point. Why doesn't the United States government know? It seems silly. I mean, it feels a lot like the Chinese spy balloon. It was like, oh, we don't know. It's not a problem. Then we watched it go all the way across the country, and we kept hearing, we're not really sure where it came from until we saw it popped and, floated down over the ocean.
That's not quite how it went. We were very honest with the American people that we knew it was Chinese, and we knew that where it was going to go. And we were pretty comfortable, given the analysis, that there wasn't going to be an intelligence threat by it. And we shot it down once it was over safe waters and wasn't going to hurt anybody. But back to this. Why don't we know? I wish I could tell you exactly why we don't have an answer for you here in the afternoon on the 13th of December. But I can tell you that we are working on it very, very hard to know, because we want to answer those questions the same as those folks in New Jersey want answers to them. And we are working on this very, very hard. We are now applying. There was an interagency conversation this morning about this topic where we have now decided to employ some additional technology to New Jersey and some additional personnel to try to get a better sense of what these things are. And as I said yesterday, Martha, as soon as we know, we're going to.
No, I hear you. This is shocking. I got to tell you, this is shocking. Okay.
Shocking.
And I'm not the only person who feels this way. This was happening at Langley a month ago. Okay. These people are not crazy. They're seeing these things with their own eyes. This is not normal behavior. They are not planes that are coming in one direction and they're heading into Newark Airport and then they're landing. Okay. We spend $824 billion on defense. We have the greatest intelligent capability in the world. So how can you stand there and say to the country right now, gosh darn, we just don't know what these are?
Because I'm not going to lie to you or to the American people. And I'm not going to say we know something when we don't. And we would never, ever stoop to think that an American citizen was crazy or nuts because of what they're seeing and what they're documenting. We're taking that imagery seriously, and we're doing the best we can to analyze it. And we encourage people to come forward if they have additional sightings and imagery. We want to do the best we can to triangulate it. But I'll be gosh darn if I'm going to stand up here and make up stuff that I don't know to be true.
We don't want you to make up anything. Do you know and you can't say? Can you tell me that?
No, I'm telling you, Martha, I'm telling you, we don't.
You don't know.
We
can't
ask you corroborate every single sighting. Some of them we have, not all of them. And we're working hard to do that. We know people are afraid of it. We know people have concerns. We have those same concerns.
Yeah, because they're flying over your house and it sounds like there are motorcycles landing on your roof. So let me ask you this. One, person who watched this online said they think it's a Pterodynamics Transwing Drone XP4, which is being developed by the U.S. Navy as a recon and logistics drone capable of picking up and dropping off packages between land and moving ships in high seas and winds. They're suggesting it's an American company. We asked the company. They said we can't speculate on the origin of the drones that are flying over New Jersey. So is that an avenue that has been inspected? Is this a private company that is practicing something? And what wouldn't they have to clear something with somebody to have this kind of activity?
It could very well be, as I said, these could be commercially developed drones of some kind.
Why not just take one down and figure out what's going on?
Well, the idea of taking something down, again, you want to worry about public safety. First of all, we don't have enough conclusions to take that kind of a policy action. But let's just assume for a minute, Martha, that we did. I mean, you're not going to want to shoot something down where it could hit somebody's house or hurt somebody.
Well, the Coast Guard says that there are 30 of them following one of their ships in the ocean. So would that work?
Liar.
I mean, again, we have to develop the policy options based on what we know we're dealing with here, and we just don't know enough to make those to take those kinds of actions. But my goodness, we're going to do everything we can to find out, and we're going to share as much as we can. I understand it's frustrating for folks.
Yeah.
It's frustrating for us. We want to know as well.
What does President Biden say about it?
He also has tasked the team to look into this and to be energetic in doing it, to try to get answers. He saw some of these images yesterday. He has talked to his team, including his top leaders, including at the Defense Department. And
Have you called in like AI experts or said, like, why don't we ask Elon Musk what he thinks, or, you know, brought in outside experts?
We're working really hard right now inside in the interagency, and certainly supporting the FBI and DHS as they investigate this. And if we need to have additional conversations with people outside the lifelines, we certainly will do that. But I want to make sure I don't get ahead of the investigators and what they're doing.
It just seems weird. I mean, people, you know, they're low. They fly fairly low, some of these. It just, I think, is amazing that the White House has no idea what's going on. I think that makes people feel really unsettled. In New Jersey, they sent out an intelligence bulletin, I should say, issued in December of 2024 with recommendations for encountering downed UAVs. And it says a downed or landed drone should not be approached. It says request hazardous materials response unit or local hazmat team. And then it says request the nearest bomb squad. Do you agree with those recommendations? If one of these things comes into someone's house or lands in their yard, or they have to deal with it?
Yeah, look, I haven't seen that directive, but all that makes perfect sense to me as a former military person. If something like an aircraft of any kind lands in your backyard or close to you or your family, call the authorities. Don't approach it. You don't know what it is, and you don't know what kind of fuel might be on board. You absolutely should just call the authorities. Make sure you report it. Don't go near it. Don't touch it. You don't want to get hurt.
Okay. One last question for you, and it's in another area. It's in the Middle East, where obviously, John, there is a lot going on. There's a new headline in the Wall Street Journal
what I saw.
Former Governor Larry Hogan shot this video last night. These lights over his hometown in Davidsonville, just 25 miles from the nation's capital, as he pointed out. And then there's this.
I've never seen them. Wow, they just passed each other. Yeah, I've never seen them before.
New Jersey Senator Andy Kim shared this video of drones he shot yesterday. Federal authorities insist most of these sightings are actually legally manned aircraft. But Senator Kim says he checked a flight tracker app while capturing this video, and that the devices he was capturing were not on it. The sightings are happening near LaGuardia Airport, too. Officials say they received unconfirmed reports of drone activity over that busy airport. As for numbers, the FBI says it's received more than 3,000 tips from the public about drone sightings going back to November 18th, all over New Jersey. Since then, there's been an average of 92 sightings per night and expanding across half a dozen states. In a joint statement, the FBI and Department of Homeland Security said, quote, "We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or public safety threat, or that they have a foreign nexus." Lawmakers, however, aren't buying it and are pushing for answers and action. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and 2 other senators wrote a letter calling for a briefing with the FBI and Homeland Security. Well, in Connecticut, Senator Richard Blumenthal says the devices should be shot down if they can't be identified. And we've learned that House Speaker Mike Johnson did get a federal briefing on the sightings, as have Senate staffers in a few select offices. But other than that, there's been very little transparency. So what's going on? Is this some contagious mass hysteria? Or are people really seeing something that our government cannot identify? Our own Rich McHugh went out drone hunting in New Jersey. He did not come back empty-handed. Rich, tell us what you saw.
Hi, Elizabeth. Well, I got to be honest here. You know, when this story first came out a few weeks ago, as a resident of New Jersey, as a journalist, I didn't pay it much credence. I thought it would turn out to be a bunch of pranksters and this would all be over by now. The experience I had last night, however, changed the way I feel about this story completely. What I saw was more sophisticated than I ever imagined. Take a look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 lights, 6 lights.
I didn't believe what I was seeing. But what was I seeing? We're here in central Jersey. We've been looking for the past hour. I think we've seen about 40 or 50 of these drones. In fact, there's one over my shoulder right there. One after another, these drones appeared in the night sky. If you look real close, they look like fixed-wing aircraft, about 8 to 10 feet wide, colorful, white blinking lights.
That is not a plane.
Definitely not an airplane, but what was it? Hours earlier, I was invited to join the Ocean County Sheriff Department. They launched their own drones to see if they could intercept the mysterious aircraft New Jersey residents have been reporting in recent weeks. The department says these mystery drones evade detection because they don't give off heat like regular drones.
Why do you think that is?
We don't know. It's just something that we haven't, it's not something that we've had our hands on. It's not something that we've experienced.
Something they hadn't experienced until now. One of their officers called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Advised after we made contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean.
50?
50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat and they reported seeing 13 following their boat. And then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
I see one right here. Did I see the same thing that officer saw? I'm still not sure. What I can show you is this video. What I can tell you is I've never seen anything like it before. Wow. And more than a month since these reports started, the federal government doesn't know what they are either. What's your message to the White House?
My message, come to the Jersey Shore. I know it's wintertime, but come see what we see and then, maybe have a better appreciation for why our residents are concerned.
The Ocean County Sheriff, that drone unit, they have an industrial grade drone. They put it up. They were tracking one of these drones, Elizabeth, and they said this thing easily evaded them, disappeared out of thin air. So, to me, it's if this is not our military, then it's even more scary, and we need the answers, frankly.
All right, Rich McHugh. Thanks so much for watching. Go to
and New Jersey are baffling residents. Now, lawmakers are asking for more help to find out where they're coming from.
And Zania Maldonado joining us live in studio this morning with the very latest on all of this, including how New Jersey's governor is now getting involved. Zania.
Doug and Lisa, it's lawmakers in both New Jersey and New York. They're continuing to press for federal answers as many questions have risen over the past few days, including who is responsible for the recent drone activity and what can actually be done about it. This is video of a suspected drone sighting from St. Albans, Queens. The recent mysterious drone sightings across New York and New Jersey have prompted an outcry.
People of Staten Island deserve answers. The people of this city and state and region deserve answers of what the heck is going on.
Local, state, and national law enforcement getting involved with investigations underway across New Jersey and New York. But White House officials have deemed the threats not credible, saying many of the sightings are likely just planes.
We have not been able to, and neither have state or local law enforcement authorities, corroborate any
of the reported visual sightings.
On Friday, New York City Mayor Eric Adams stating on X, detections have remained steady over the last 30 days, suggesting most sightings are aircraft or hobbyist drones. Meanwhile, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy sending a letter to President Joe Biden on Friday asking for more help from the federal government, writing in part, "While I am sincerely grateful for your administration's leadership in addressing this concerning issue, it has become apparent that more resources are needed to fully understand what is behind this activity." Experts say drone technology is so common and accessible, possibilities on who's behind what's in the sky are endless.
It could literally be anybody. It could be your neighbor, for crying out loud. It's just such an easy thing to do.
Later this afternoon, New Jersey Congressman Chris Smith will be holding a press conference in Seaside Heights with an update on the drone activity in New Jersey. He also plans to unveil new federal legislation he will be introducing in Congress to help address this ongoing issue. Doug and Lisa.
Zinnia Maldonado live for us here in studio this morning. Zinnia, thank you. The reported drone sightings have also spread to Connecticut. This is video from Thursday night in Fairfield. The person who posted it to social media said in the span of just a few minutes, she saw as many as 5 drones. And do stay with CBS News New York as this drone
News tonight, we are learning about more mysterious drone sightings in the Northeast. ABC News reports the objects entered the airspace of a New Jersey weapons station multiple times. Now, the sightings are sparking questions and anger from some, with numerous lawmakers demanding answers from federal agencies. Now, people in other states, including Florida, say they're seeing similar unidentified flying objects. Investigative reporter Terry Parker talked to a Miami Beach woman who posted video of the mysterious hovering aircraft outside of her balcony. And Terry, she thinks it looks like those same drones seen in New Jersey.
Yeah, and she's really not even sure what she saw, but she does know this. It was really, really bright. It was flitting around among the condos, and then it disappeared. And this is just one of hundreds of these sightings of these mysterious objects. And right now, the government is giving no one any good answer as to what they are.
What is this? Is this the same kind of drone that they're seeing in New Jersey?
Jessica Blank-Gerson took this video from her Miami Beach balcony Wednesday night.
It was really bright light. I thought it was a helicopter searchlight, which sometimes if they're looking for someone or something, sometimes that does happen.
But Jessica says this was no helicopter. You can see it fly between the buildings before disappearing. Was it one of the mysterious drones appearing in the skies of New Jersey? Jessica doesn't know what to think.
A little bit unsafe, I guess. I'd like to know what they are. That's why I recorded it. I wasn't sure what it was.
That same question infuriating people in the Northeast, where the large drones have been appearing night after night for weeks, yet getting no solid explanation from the White House, FBI, or Homeland Security.
Upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully.
That explanation isn't enough for a growing chorus of bipartisan lawmakers demanding answers. Former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan writing on X that he personally videotaped dozens of large drones outside his house, saying, "We are being told that neither the White House, the military, the FBI, or Homeland Security has any ideas what they are, where they came from, or who has launched or is controlling them, and that they pose no threat." That response is entirely unacceptable. I join with the growing bipartisan chorus of leaders demanding that the federal government immediately address this issue. The American people deserve answers and action now. And tonight, we are not getting many answers. As you heard, there's a lot of questions, like the U.S. government is saying, hey, they're not our military drones, but they're also not a foreign adversary. So that just leaves the question, who is running these drones? What are they doing up in the air? And what is our government going to do about it? Terry Parker, WPBF 25 News.
It's captivating a lot of people because a lot of people. Mysterious drones aren't just swarming New Jersey. They have been reported sightings in at least 5 states. After days of no explanation from the federal government, this phenomenon has prompted President Trump to comment tonight on Truth Social. Quote, mystery drone sightings all over the country. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I don't think so. Let the public know, and now. Otherwise, shoot them down, end quote. And it's not just Trump. This is a bipartisan sentiment.
We should be doing some very urgent intelligence analysis and take them out of the skies, especially if they're flying over airports or military bases. They should be shot down if necessary.
But the White House is still convinced there's nothing to worry about.
We haven't been able to corroborate everything. I said many of the corroborated sightings have turned out to be piloted aircraft. I didn't say all of them, and what I said was those are the ones we were able to corroborate. There's certainly the ones that we have not been able to, and we don't know the answer to it.
Joining us now is Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne and retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Danny Davis. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's captivating a lot of people because a lot of people are seeing it with their own eyes, and the federal government's out there telling us they shouldn't believe them. Congresswoman, a public affairs officer at Naval Weapons Station Earl in New Jersey confirmed, quote, multiple instances of unidentified drones entering the airspace, end quote. That couldn't be any clearer. How is it possible that the Biden administration still has no answers and really is essentially denying that it's even happening?
Does anybody believe the Biden administration at this point? We have Chinese balloons and that we're not, how many days did that take to get down? I actually agree with a Democrat senator. If you've got drones that are flying over military installations, shoot them down. Who is in control right now? Is it the DOD? Is it the FAA? Is it the DOJ? Is it Homeland Security? Is it the president? Is the president even answering the phone? We know that we've got these are they surveillance devices? We don't know. We don't know where they're coming from. And I know that I join with my colleagues that are on the Intelligence Committee, that are on Homeland Security. They're asking the questions. But the problem is we're not getting any answers from this administration. And the answers that we're getting, we're still questioning. So God love it. I cannot wait until Trump comes into office. The president will actually take these things seriously and get some answers. But we don't even know what's going on locally at the state level. Do we need to update our laws with drone technology? But we know that we're falling behind. We see with the Ukrainian-Russian war how advanced these systems are, and we know that we are not there. We are not prepared. And I look at what's happening in Texas and some of these drones that are going over Houston, the port of Houston. You've got the largest national infrastructure in our country right there. You've got our oil reserves, you've got our pipelines, and you've got a port. And if those are attacked, the devastation that could cause to our country could be insurmountable.
Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel, I don't think the laws are on the books or the defense systems are put in place. This has been an ongoing issue for more than a decade, and they're not prepared. Now, earlier today, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, he spoke about this. Have a look, and then I want to get your comments on the other side.
We have not seen anything unusual. We have not seen any unusual activity. We know of no threat. We know of no nefarious activity. We have deployed our state-of-the-art technology. We've deployed our experts to New Jersey. That technology has not confirmed any drone sightings.
You have a military base that's confirming it. How is it that the Secretary of Homeland Security is saying we see no evidence of this?
Wow, I got to say that I'm not easily shocked out here in Washington, D.C., but that shocks me that in light of all the reports that have been out there, and goodness gracious, I mean, this goes back, months, actually. This is not anything new. You may recall that for 17 straight days, these were sighted over Langley Air Force Base, just right outside here in Washington, and nothing was done about them. Nothing was done here. And now you want to try and tell me that, hey, there's nothing unusual? This is very unusual. And the fact that we still can't identify them or take them down. No one's willing to give that direction, is a real big red flag, because I'm telling you, the potential threat to the United States, yes, nothing has happened so far, but the potential threat is going through the roof because we don't have the systems to defend ourselves. And I assure you that our adversaries are paying a lot of attention.
Congresswoman, earlier this week, not a month ago, not 3 months ago, this week in California, a Chinese citizen was arrested for allegedly flying a drone over and taking photographs of Vandenberg Space Force Base. He was caught with another Chinese man who was in China just 4 days prior. How can the Secretary of Homeland Security tell us that nothing's going on when earlier this week, 2 Chinese were at our Space Force base with a drone in the air taking pictures and doing who knows what?
The lies continue to come out of this administration, and no one should look at that and not second guess it. They've been doing this the entire administration. We've got 5-6 more weeks until we're actually going to have a president in there that people will pay attention to. But we don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 weeks. We know that our foreign adversaries, those who want to do us harm, are going to continue to push and push and push and see how far they can get in the weeks that are going to be in front of a Trump administration. But you've got people who are not even at the wheel, who are unable to make a decision right now. And as a result, our national security is at a considerable fault right now. And I just hope that in the next few weeks that we don't see something disastrous happen. But we've got a lot of places that could happen. Again, I mentioned it in Texas. You're going to see it in California. You're seeing it in New Jersey. If we have these foreign drones that are over our military installations, why have they not been shot down? Why have we not set a precedent?
Amen
it's a great question to ask. We're trying to get those answers and not getting them.
Look, people can't go in their backyard and just shoot them down with their shotgun, as tempting as that is, because what goes up also comes down. But Lieutenant Colonel, they've got to do something, and they got to do it now. What's your advice to what's going to happen over the next 40 days?
Man, listen, just pay attention to what's going on in the Russia-Ukraine war. I mean, the drones are absolutely front and center. This is a big problem for me for a separate reason, because somewhere between 80 and 90% of all the drones are on both sides are knocked down either with shooting them down or primarily with electronic warfare. So they are very advanced in their ability to take these things down. Yeah. How can it possibly be that our Pentagon has not given that capability to our own forces today? Now, imagine if we had to go to war with some of these people. They're way ahead of us. This needs to change fast.
Colonel Davis, Congresswoman, I could spend all hour on this, because what happens when a drone swarm comes at us and they're armed? What are we going to do? Have Secretary Americas come up in there and say, there's nothing happening out there. We don't believe you anymore. You've lied to us for years.
In New Jersey is calling for a limited state of emergency as a result of this unprecedented drone activity. Republican State Senator John Bramnick, thank you so much for joining us, Senator. We appreciate your time this morning.
Good to be with you.
So what new information can you share this morning from state and federal law enforcement?
This started as some questions, and now it's reached a point of almost insanity. You think about a United States senator who has to go out with the local police to look for drones. That's where a United States senator is getting information. We had a briefing from the state police, the colonel in the state police. He was frustrated. He had no idea where these drones are coming from. Not only did I call for a limited state of emergency and the FAA shutting down the airspace for drones, but also having the Department of Defense come in and answer questions. If the Department of Defense doesn't know where the origins are for these so-called drones, then we're in trouble. We always thought that if there was something in the air the size of a car, that the Department of Defense would know where it came from, what its origin was, and what its purpose was. Now you have a United States senator going out with the local police. What, to look at for fireworks at night? That is scary.
It is terrifying. Like Caitlin just reported, President-elect Trump is calling for government transparency, which you are as well. He's saying maybe shoot them down if we don't get any more information. What is your reaction to that?
Well, I would leave that up to the Department of Defense. But how can the Department of Defense not provide information to the public? This is a shock to me. You know, I have a general belief in government, but this is taking me to the end of my belief that government is really being honest. Now, there's been some apparently top secret briefings, right, with Congress people. Now, they come out of that, and I heard Josh Gottheimer come, the representative, and he said, well, I'm not getting a lot of information, but I don't think it's a threat. So my guess is there is information, but they're holding it back. And now what you have is panic. Originally some questions, now you have serious concerns. And at the next point, somebody's going to do something stupid. So the Department of Defense has to come clean with the American public.
So to your point, the FBI says they have no evidence of malicious activity or intent in these drone flights. What is it that they might not be telling us, and why?
Well, no evidence that this is a threat. What does that mean?
Right.
How does that help an average citizen and understand? No evidence of a threat? You mean they didn't do anything sinister yet? Well, you know, yet. Yeah, I probably can make that statement, and I have no top secret clearance. Based on what I've seen so far, looking out my window, it doesn't appear to be a threat to our country. Okay, why? Well, because I looked out the window. That's all I'm getting from the federal government. And every single person, Democrat or Republican, has been calling for the same thing. That's why I have some concern that there is something very secret going on, because how did the people with the technology have no idea, except it's not, if they're saying it's not a threat, it must be something going on that's real top secret.
Senator, have you had this kind of discretion from the government before when you've asked them questions straight out?
I've never seen anything go on this long. And why would the government allow the public to be so frustrated?
Right.
Why would the government allow a United States senator to be so frustrated? We heard this from both sides of the aisle. Now that brings me to the point that whatever these drones are doing, the government really doesn't want us to know. What that must mean is they're more concerned with us getting knowledge and being afraid of that information than having no knowledge and having all these questions. That's why I'm worried about it. It must be something going on that they can't tell us, because they are so fearful of what the public's going to do when they hear what the drones are doing. There's no way the Department of Defense does not know what's going on. We have not heard. Have we heard one word from the Department of Defense? Zero.
Unbelievable. And you are calling for a limited state of emergency and a ban on flying drones, like you and I just talked about a moment ago. The FAA has already imposed no-fly zones. The drones are still in the air. Nothing is being done. How would what you're calling for change the situation? Obviously, whoever is putting these drones in the air isn't really caring about these warnings.
Well, I'm not sure about that, because who's ever putting the drones in the air they're not violating the law technically. So if we put that in effect, we would see whether or not these individuals who are setting them up are bold enough to violate the law. Right now, why should they stop, assuming they're a private entity? I never would believe that this is a private entity, but if so, why do we need, let me ask you a question. Is there some reason we need drones that badly right now in the air when people are panicking? Shut them down. FAA should shut them down. Who are they helping? All they're doing is creating panic.
I agree with you. To that point, what do you want to tell your constituents, Senator?
Continue to put pressure on, and it's not even state officials. I saw Larry Hogan said something the other day. This is the federal government that's not coming clean. And I'm not one of these conspiracy people, but if this continues, you're going to see conspiracy theories that, in my judgment, create panic. So come clean now. Everyone on both sides of the aisle is asking for this. And I'll tell you something, the citizens deserve better.
I agree with you, and the panic is spreading along with the rumors of what this could be. New Jersey State Senator
My God, look at it. That's not a plane.
Everything, not no drone up there.
That is wild. Look at it. I can't. That's going way too fast.
As most of you are probably aware, there is a UAP outbreak happening right now on both sides of the Atlantic. And although New Jersey is getting most of the press at the moment, these sightings are taking place across the entire United States and, of course, also in Great Britain and elsewhere. And as you can see, the flight capabilities of whatever these things are can be pretty impressive sometimes. Now, this particular footage is sped up. It's time-lapse footage, but bears a great deal of resemblance to some of the objects or lights or whatever that I saw at RAF Lakenheath. And this is generating concern at the highest levels of the federal government. Let me go ahead and read you a quote from the office of Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York. Quote, "Today, U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and U.S. Senators Cory Booker and Andy Kim sent a letter to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Federal Aviation Administration requesting a briefing on how the agencies are working with federal and local law enforcement to identify and address the source of recent unmanned aerial system activity in New York and New Jersey." If indeed that's what it is. But here's the full copy of the letter. Quote, "Dear Secretary Mayorkas, Director Wray, and Administrator Whitaker, we write out of urgent concern regarding the unmanned aerial system activity that has affected communities across New York and New Jersey in recent days. Due to the ongoing nature of these drone incidents, we request that the Department of Homeland Security, the FAA, and the FBI brief us as soon as possible on how your agencies are working with federal and local law enforcement to identify and address the source of these incursions. As you know, since late November, communities in New York City area and northern New Jersey have reported several incidents of unattributable drone sightings at night, alarming both residents and local law enforcement. According to public reports, residents have reported that some of these drones are larger in size compared to other commercially available drone technology. Some of these drones have been observed maneuvering near critical infrastructure and sensitive locations, including reservoirs and military installations. In addition to potential privacy concerns raised by these aerial systems, we are also especially concerned about how these drones may harm public safety, especially given recent reports that a medevac helicopter was prevented from transporting a seriously injured patient for care because of the presence of these drones. The potential safety and security risk posed by these drones in civilian areas is especially pertinent, considering recent drone incursions at sensitive military sites in and outside of the continental United States over the past year. Protecting civilian infrastructure, safety, and privacy, as well as military assets and personnel, will require a comprehensive response from Congress and the executive branch. For this reason, we request that the briefing you provide also include any authorities, tools, or staff your agencies may require to address these ongoing incidents and the broader security challenge posed by UAS. Thank you for your consideration of this request. We look forward to your response no later than December 23rd, 2024. So 10 days from now. But I'm going to show you why I'm convinced that although some of these objects, perhaps even most of them, may be attributable to drones, some of them demonstrate capabilities that definitely are outside the capability of all but the most sophisticated military drones.
They put the BS drones in the sky to throw everybody off and confuse you to the realities of what's really in the sky that they can't explain. They have no power over. They just mere mortals and human beings. So they want to pretend like they want people to think, oh, yeah, all right, this is the U.S. government. This is really some of our advanced bullshit.
Drones, and even some of them can't pull off some of the things that have been observed. All of this and more coming at you on a special Angry Alien Bulletin right now.
Hey, Center Horizon 2207. Got time for a question?
Horizon Air 2207, go ahead.
Hey, just wondering if you have any aircraft at our 10 o'clock, looks out over the coast that you're aware of. Kind of some interesting looking lights out there. Not satellites, but maybe aircraft.
How far out? Because I do have an aircraft at your 10 to 9 o'clock and about 120 miles out.
Possibly, yeah. It looks like at least 4, though. Something's flying. It's not satellites because they're changing direction. And it's strange looking. I've seen this a few times over the last month in the same area.
Alright, 2207, Roger. How far out at your 10 o'clock and are they at a similar altitude as you?
It's really hard to tell. They seem quite far and probably the same altitude or higher.
Roger, thanks for the report.
Thank you.
As you can see, drones can perform some very impressive displays in the night sky, and we can understand why this could sometimes be mistaken for UFOs or some other type of bizarre sighting when it's really something quite mundane, especially with today's technology. But some of the sightings that have been taking place lately have been verified by multiple witnesses and oftentimes even caught on camera, have demonstrated capabilities that are far beyond what these drones that you're watching now or just about any other commercially available drone could possibly accomplish. And even military drones are incapable of flying at the altitudes and speeds that have been described by some of these witnesses. Now, according to New Jersey Assemblywoman Dawn Fantasia, who attended a closed-door meeting on Wednesday with other state leaders and representatives from the Department of Homeland Security, there have been reports ranging from 4 to 180 sightings per night. The drones apparently operate in a coordinated manner and again have not been identified as hobbyist drones or any that are related to the Department of Homeland Security. So again, when we're talking about large drones the size of, say, an SUV, as have been described by some of these witnesses, and by the way, I think that's what we're looking at right now, to get a license to operate these types of drones is a very difficult thing to do, and the FAA has comprehensive lists of operators who are authorized to use drones like this, and it would be pretty easy to track these operators down if they were using these types of drones in close proximity to sensitive federal installations. However, according to the White House National Security spokesman John Kirby, there's nothing to be concerned about. He claims that many of these reported drone sightings appear to be lawfully operated manned aircraft, and he's probably correct about that. However, he goes on to say, quote, "We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or public safety threat or have a foreign nexus. The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI are investigating these sightings, and they're working closely with state and local law enforcement to provide resources using numerous detection methods to better understand their origin. That said, we certainly take seriously the threat that can be posed by unmanned aircraft systems, which is why law enforcement and other agencies continue to support New Jersey and investigate the reports, even though they have uncovered no malicious activity or intent at this particular stage." By the way, he also says that these objects have not trespassed into secured federal airspace. However, Mine Hill Mayor Sam Morris, who's one of the elected officials in Morris County in New Jersey, is not convinced about that at all. As a matter of fact, he said that Kirby's remarks were ridiculous. Quote, so what that means, he's saying that we're seeing small planes. That's my take on that. And I have to tell you, I'm incredulous about that. I would invite Mr. Kirby to Mine Hill. Come on out, Mr. Kirby, and let's go out one night about 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'll go out behind my town hall and you can count them with me all night. Boy, I'd love to take this guy up on his invitation, but unfortunately he lives across the Atlantic. If similar things are currently happening anywhere in the UK, please let me know about it. Put it in the comments or you can send me an email. I have my email listed in the description. I'd love to follow up on that. But in the meantime, it's becoming quite obvious indeed that whatever is happening seems to defy any mundane explanations anyway. Unless we think that this is something restricted just to the West, or it might be a Chinese operation or something, well, here's a sighting from China.
是不是有 UFO 啊？是什么东西啊？这个是怎么在跑啊？
And what I find to be particularly compelling about this sighting is it was taken from multiple witnesses at multiple camera angles, apparently. Very interesting indeed. And this is not the only example of a recent sighting in countries where we seldom get footage like this. Another example was in Iran. This particular extremely dramatic footage is of a UAP that appeared over an Iranian city, not sure where, but an attempt was made, as you can see quite obviously, to bring it down. Lots and lots of anti-aircraft fire, and yet it didn't seem to have any significant effect on the object in question. But probably the most compelling sighting that, in my opinion, proves that these objects, at least some of them, are not mundane objects or conventional drones, perhaps not even military drones, can be found in a recent sighting in the Pacific Northwest, where several air crews observed a phenomena that none of them could explain.
Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah, 1596.
1596, bud.
Is there any military activity out straight ahead of us?
1596, no, we're not seeing anything. I had another one report at like 30,000 feet in the Eugene area. We're not sure what it is.
Yeah, there's lots moving out there.
1596, yeah, they're looking into it.
And where is that at for 661 Lima Fox?
661 Lima Foxtrot, okay, bye. You know, to 1596, does it still look like it's in the Eugene area?
Yeah, just straight west of Eugene. I mean, we're seeing 3 or 4 targets. You know, they're all altitudes up and down. It's pretty crazy.
You know, 1596, does it look like it's about at your altitude at level 260?
There was some at 30 probably. But I mean, they're shooting way up. We'd say maybe up to the 50s, it looks like.
1596, thanks. Medevac 1 Lima Fox, did you copy?
Yeah, I heard it. We'll be looking. 661 Lima Fox.
And by the way, this is some footage of hypersonic UAPs. You can find that on Genoned's website. I have it linked in the description. But what this medevac chopper had to see later on was just as bizarre.
Correct, North Bend Airport. And is there traffic actually out about our 2 to 3 o'clock, about, I don't know, 20, 30 miles?
Medevac 1 Lima Foxtrot, no, is that the 4 different lights going up and down? I'm getting a few reports, but you're seeing it right in front of you now too as well?
It's 2 to 3 o'clock off, that 2 to 3 o'clock from our position. Looks about 20 miles going in circles.
Medevac 1 Lima Foxtrot, yeah, we're not seeing anything, getting lots of different reports out there, some at 30, some all the way up to 50,000, about 3 to 4 different lights. Does it look like they're around your altitude now?
No, there's one way up high and one about my altitude. Moving in like a circle, like a corkscrew pattern.
Medevac 1 Lima Foxtrot, roger. Medevac 1 Lima Foxtrot, just looking into this a little bit more. Could you give me another more accurate report, please?
All right, I'm visually have eyes on what looks like an aircraft strobe that's at my 2 o'clock and 22 miles at my altitude, and I'm actually showing him on PCAS. Do you see that one?
And then I've one Lima Foxtrot. I do not. Just in a pilot's discretion, maintain 14000.
Set maintain 14000, medevac 661 Lima Foxtrot. He looks like he's moving towards, it looks like it's moving towards the north. Like I said, 22 and a half miles off my right wing. Medevac 661 Lima Fox.
Medevac 1 Lima Foxtrot, thank you.
And center, Medevac 661 Lima Fox.
Medevac 1 Lima Foxtrot, go ahead.
Just had another one show up about my 1 o'clock, about 1,000 feet high, zipping towards us and then back out towards the ocean. It's red in color, moving at extreme speeds. I don't even know how to describe how fast it's going. 661 Lima Fox.
Medevac 1 Lima Foxtrot, Roger. You are cleared to maneuver as necessary, left and right, to avoid the UFO out there. And all the reports you give us are good information. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yep.
Medevac 1 Lima Foxtrot. Any chance you're able to film any of that?
We're trying right now. 1 Lima Foxtrot. It's weird. It's a red circular shape, and it keeps zipping out towards the ocean, and then coming back in about 20 miles or closer to us, and then zips back out of the ocean, and we can't see it. 1 Lima Fox. All right, 42555. I have my med crew in the back trying to film it too. They're watching the same thing I'm watching up here.
Medevac 1 Lima Foxtrot, appreciate it. And name, if you want to just shoot me a text, picture, photo, whatever you got. So we're all pretty curious.
Will do. 1 Lima Fox. It's still continuing. It's a red, we're only seeing one. It's a red circle-shaped object that's zipping out over towards the ocean. It disappears for a little bit, then it zips back in about 20 miles from us off the right side of the aircraft. It's picking it up on PCAS. It comes back in, and then it zips back out over the ocean at a rapid rate of speed, faster than anything I've ever seen move. 1 Lima Fox. I'm trying to get a video of it.
Coast Guard 606 Tree, just north of Newport. You monitoring frequency? Coast Guard 606 Tree, just north of Newport. You on frequency?
Oh, it's north end, reporting a quarter now. I think we're going to have to return to Aurora for Medevac 661 Lima Fox. Cleared via direct Medevac 661 Lima Foxtrot. 125.8 Medevac 661 Lima Foxtrot. Seattle Medevac 661 Lima Foxtrot, 14000 heading 330 just for a couple minutes away.
Medevac 661 Lima Foxtrot, Seattle Center, welcome back. Salem altimeter 3028, you are cleared to maneuver however you like. One able to proceed direct to Aurora State and advise.
All right, one able direct to Aurora State. We'll let you know we're direct to Aurora, Medevac 661 Lima Foxtrot. For an update on that thing, it keeps zipping in to just barely over Florence and then back out over the ocean.
Medevac 1 Lima Foxtrot, thank you. Yeah, we have a Coast Guard helicopter that's heading down that way. They're just southwest of Newport now. I'm trying to get a hold of them, but no joy, unfortunately.
Roger that. It's definitely higher than the Coast Guard helicopter. I'm sure they're pretty low, aren't they?
Yeah, they're down around 600 feet, but they are just off the coast. So I was hoping they could see anything. I don't know if there's cloud cover, though. Flight 1 Lima Foxtrot. Any chance you want to hit that guard or that Coast Guard there on guard? Our transmitters probably can't reach them that low, but you should have a pretty good line size. Coast Guard 606 Tree. Coast Guard 606 Tree. If you just want to hit them on 121.5 there and have them try to come up our frequency just for some questions.
All right, I'll try to get them. Coast Guard 6063. That's what you said?
Affirmative.
Coast Guard 6063. This is Medevac aircraft 661 Lima Foxtrot. How do you hear? Coast Guard on guard frequency. This is Medevac 661 Lima Foxtrot. How do you hear?
Coast Guard 6063 Seattle. How do you hear? Hey, I got you 5x5 as well. I know you guys are probably on search and rescue out there. Just wanted to give you a report up ahead. About 20 miles, there's been several reports now of UFO activity moving what appears to be supersonic speed, kind of inland and then back over the water. We've had multiple altitude reports all the way down to about 1,400 up to flight level 550. I was just wondering if you had any eyes on that out there, if you saw anything. Plus 1,100, unusual report for you. I'd say multiple UFO reports. Most recent one was 50 miles west of your position over the coast. Circular, red and white. We've had reports of it at 14,000, and then it'll shoot up as high as flight level 550 is the highest report, in kind of a corkscrew pattern, moving at what appears to be supersonic or even hypersonic speed. So if you can look out that way and just let us know if you see anything, or if it's, whatever you see, we'd appreciate a report.
Yeah, of course, we'll look west, Alaska 1100, thanks.
Yeah, we got time for questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you get such an accurate description? Was that from another air crew that reported all that?
So we actually had a medevac Pilatus that was southbound, and it appeared to, it was out over the ocean, and then it came and buzzed them about 20 miles away, same altitude, and then shot back out over the water at a very, very, very fast speed. And then we also had a aircraft in high altitude that was, I believe, at 39,000, and it just shot up past him and in front of him and went way up and then kind of corkscrewed back down. Again, very, very fast. So we're trying to figure out what it is. We don't have anything on our radar, not even a little primary target for it.
Wow, thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Medevac 1 named Foxtrot. Appreciate all the reports. You can contact Portland Approach now on 118.1. That's 18.1. Have a good night.
118.1, we'll send you the videos on
Yep, thank you.
So, regardless of what these phenomena might be, that particular encounter doesn't seem like drone activity at all. Sounds like a military craft of some kind with capabilities that seem beyond even the most advanced military aircraft that commonly gets used. Also, we're talking about something that was able to evade civilian radar and yet at the same time was still picked up by a collision avoidance system. Very intriguing. So I don't want to try to come to any sort of grand conclusions about this. I would, however, like to present a hypothesis. The vast majority of these sightings are indeed drones, and we're getting a lot more of these sightings simply because there's a lot more people looking for these sorts of craft. We probably have hobbyists taking advantage of the frenzy and trying to create their own phenomena, their own 15 minutes of fame by putting up drones with strange lights. I'm sure a lot of that is going on, but at the same time, I think we have an outbreak of craft that are not that easy to explain. Craft that, if we want to talk about an extraterrestrial phenomena, could be explained by the arrival or sudden activity of a large number of small probe craft, spherical probes powered by magneto-hydrodynamic propulsion that would create this glowing effect as it ionizes the atmosphere around it in order to provide lift and velocity. Once again, that's just a theory, just an idea, but at the same time, if we're throwing out all of these mundane explanations, and some of the sightings don't match up with any mundane cause, then it's only reasonable to explore fantastic explanations as well. And why would the government not be concerned? Why would the government tell us that we are in no danger? Well, perhaps they have decades of experience with these craft, and they know that they don't attack anybody, that they may be here simply to observe us, but they don't have any hostile intent towards our military facilities, power plants, dams, anything like that. The government is trying to defuse the situation because otherwise people might be inclined to fire on these craft or try to bring them down on their own, which could create an interstellar incident. We have some pretty clear examples of some nations trying to bring these craft down with anti-aircraft weaponry and not meeting with a great deal of success. Perhaps the government knows that that sort of activity would just make things worse, and they're trying to calm the public down without telling them too much. Until we actually apprehend the operators of these drones or actually capture a physical example and demonstrate how these sorts of drones could create the phenomena that have been observed thus far, I think we need to look at every possibility. I'd like to thank Avocado Flight for generously allowing me to rebroadcast his work. And in addition to that, I'd like to thank all the folks who support me on Patreon.
All right, to discuss this, joining me now, New Jersey State Assemblyman Paul Kenitra. Thank you so much for being here. I know this has been an issue for you because the constituents are really upset about this and they're worried about it. We were just discussing in the break, you have learned something new about this. What can you tell us now?
So literally just before I came on, Naval Weapons Station Earl, which is where some very serious machinery and ordnance is based on, confirmed that unmanned aerial drones were above their critical airspace recently. And that's on the heels of coming out of my district, the Coast Guard cutter that was trailed by about 12 drones and was harassing their crew, and they confirmed that to us as well. So there's very real incidents of this occurring.
You are just getting this information now. This is new, and it's news to hear that information that there were, in fact, aerial drones, because we heard from, in a statement, DHS and the FBI saying, look, not to be worried about this, that they don't think that this poses a threat. And they were questioning whether or not people actually saw what they saw potentially, or if these were manned aircraft, potentially airplanes. So what does that make you think when you hear that and now you have this confirmation?
It's contradictory. I was just in a briefing at the Rock in New Jersey with 99 other legislators across the political spectrum, where we heard directly from federal DHS and the colonel of our state police that they had indeed launched aircraft up, were hovering over one of these drones. It was at least 6 feet long, and they confirmed it. And we were talking about it in real time with DHS and about the equipment that they sent us to identify all that. So I don't know why the federal government on one side is also trying to diminish a lot of this, because yes, a lot of these are aircraft, are commercial flights, probably even the vast majority when you're getting thousands of tips on a line, but a lot of them are actually drones, and that's confirmed.
Have you seen them yourselves? And if you have seen them, what do they look like?
I went to do a news hit last night and I left my district. There were 7 over the Manasquan Inlet, right in my hometown of Point Pleasant Beach. And they just were hovering over our Lake of the Lilies. It's unbelievable that we're a month in, mind you. The first sighting of this was November 18th. Our state police and DHS have confirmed that every single night since November 18th, there have been confirmed drone sightings. And you can tell that they're drones because everybody knows what a plane looks like and how it operates. They go left, they go right, they go up, they go down. It's a very serious thing that we don't know where they're coming from.
Do you think at this point, I mean, there's so much speculation from people, and because people are concerned, because people want to know the answers, do you think there needs to be a public hearing about what is going on and some answers given? And are you surprised that you haven't heard definitively where these are from, what they are, who's behind this?
Well, I feel that way, and I can tell you the most bipartisan thing ever is getting a bunch of Republicans and Democrats in a room together at the Rock where they all felt the same way about those concerns. So we're all pressing for more information, and quite frankly, there are many methods where you can take these down safely. My district has 30 miles of Jersey Shore coastline where you could take one down and not pose any risk to the public and actually get to the bottom of that. We sent a letter to DHS and to the White House the other day asking for just that, and I know a lot of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle are doing the exact same thing.
When you say take them down, are you talking about shooting them down? And couldn't that be done locally? Couldn't someone just say, hey, you know what, send out, the National Guard or send someone out and take one of these down so we know what this is and where it's from?
Shooting down literally and figuratively. If you interfere with the GPS, a lot of these drones have to land, right? And so we're calling for bringing them down. And we think that that's going to be the solution to everything.
Ultimately, do you think that because this has gone on for so long, you have seen them, many residents have been showing videos of them, does this put the government in a position of being distrusted even more, especially after the UFO thing where they're like, no, there's no unidentified flying objects for years and years and years, decades, and then saying, actually there are, we're not sure what they are. And now we have this incident where they're saying there is nothing to worry about at this point that we believe, and yet we don't know anything about them.
The nuances of how they're saying there's nothing to worry about are what you should worry about, right? It always says no known credible threat,
Right.
things along those lines. But they also don't know that there's any guarantee of safety either. And we're not sitting out here talking about the fact that we're going to be under attack anytime soon or anything crazy like that. But is there a very real probability that this is a foreign adversary who's testing our defense capabilities for a month, mind you, and possibly surveilling critical infrastructure, which has been confirmed? And in our briefing, they said they were over Picatinny Arsenal. They They said they were over Bedminster. They said they were over Naval Weapons Station Earl. And in my district, I have a National Guard facility that has thousands of law enforcement going through there. They need to get on the same page because clearly their institutions are confirming that these sightings are occurring, and then they're trying to come out in a public way and diminish it, and that's losing trust with the American people.
And you just made some news this morning. Again, tell me what you learned about these drones from a very well-trusted institution.
Naval Weapons Station Earl confirmed this morning that there were unmanned aerial drones above their facilities, and that's a fact. And we were told in our briefing that they were over Picatinny Arsenal as well just a couple days ago.
All right, Assemblyman Paul Kanitra, thank you so much for bringing that to us. And hopefully you get some answers, and we all do.
Thanks for looking into it, Sarah.
Appreciate it.
I'm not like, to me, I'm like this. I'm not like, I don't know, Sherlock Holmes. Yes, I have a background in investigations, right? But I don't really think it takes an investigator if you just look at this and just use logic and common sense. The answer screams out what it is, right? Now, I saw somebody in the chat say it's a government opt to do something. I don't know, whatever. My point is this. I don't know what it's to do. You're halfway there. But that idea that we can say why they're doing it, well, we don't know why they're doing it. But let's look at some of the things that we're starting to see, some indicators, things of that nature. Let's start here, right? Mystery New York drones are coming from an Iranian offshore mothership, Congressman suggests. I love that word, suggests. He didn't say I know it, did he? Or did he say that? Let's look at the story a little bit. New Jersey Congressman claimed Wednesday that mystery drones are from Iran. Well, we know they, boy, sure have a long way to fly, but he solves that one. Jeff Van Drew, a Republican, said the drones are very possibly could be from Iran. I love that. Don't you like those kind of things? Hey, where are they from? Well, they very possibly could be. Do you need any more caveats? Well, it's possible that maybe they could possibly be, maybe, I'm not sure, things suggest, maybe, well, we hate Iran. How about Iran, right? Why? Because we hate Iran. Everything that happens, hey, what happened? Oh, man, I slipped and broke my arm. Why? Iran. I mean, like right now, it's Iran. It's got to be Iran. Why couldn't it be? Because we don't like it. The United States hates Iran. Iran is the current scapegoat. So there's drones flying over the United States, and doggone it, they're Iran. Here's what he says. I'm going to tell you the real deal. This is the real deal. Thanks. Now, at first, he starts off with a very possibly could be. Very, not a little bit possibly, but very possibly that they could be. That sounds like Kamala Harris talk, right? What next? And these drones have aspirations. They were raised in a small middle-class neighborhood, and that's what makes them American. You know, they very possibly could be. Now, let me tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership that contains these drones, but you just said they very possibly could be. And now you're implying that you know beyond a reasonable doubt to a moral certainty. I see a contradiction in these two statements. They very possibly could be from Iran. Now, let me tell you the truth about this thing. Iran launched a mothership that contains these drones. It's off the East Coast of the United States of America, and they've launched drones. So I'm supposed to believe that are the Iranians. Oh, well, let's continue. These drones should be shot down. The military is on full alert. Okay. So the Pentagon later rebuked Van Drew's claims, claiming there's no evidence that they belong to a foreign adversary. So there's no evidence they belong to somebody foreign. That only leaves domestic, doesn't it? Foreign or domestic. Hey, what do you think about these drones? We got no evidence that they're from anybody foreign. Gee, I wonder if they're domestic. Doesn't leave a lot of options. Even if they were from another planet, wouldn't that be foreign? If they were from Mexico, that would be foreign. But now we know that according to the government, they're not foreign. That kind of solves the part of the mystery as to where the drones come from, right? No evidence that there's a foreign adversary, right? But this guy says they're Iranian. I know they're Iranian. Doggone those Iranians. They sent a mothership. It must be cloaked because we can't see it. I mean, don't you think the U.S. would kind of have an idea if like a big Iranian ship approached the East Coast? Don't you think the U.S. like radar, satellite, things like that, intelligence would pick it up? Hey, there's an Iranian gigantic ship, and there's things flying out of it, and they're flying towards the U.S. and they're flying all over the U.S. Iranian, they are. And so these Iranian drones that aren't Iranian that are flying over the U.S. Let's see what else we got. Oh, wait a minute. There's more to that. How about this? Those darn Iranians. We know. You know how we know it's Iranians? This is how we know. Because Iran ordered an operative to assassinate Trump before the election, federal prosecutors say. Doggone it. They're flying drones all over the place from a mothership that doesn't exist. And doggone those Iranians, they wanted to take out Trump. They ordered an operative to assassinate Trump. You know why? Because they love the Biden administration and Kamala Harris. And they're like, hey, we don't want Trump to win. We want Kamala Harris to win. So we got to rub out Trump. Yes, sirree. The Iranians got a guy in Butler, Pennsylvania to lay on a roof and shoot on Trump. And they got somehow, I guess they got to the Secret Service and told them, whatever you do, don't look out the window because there's a guy there. And like when all of the people were standing around in a crowd saying, hey, there's a guy on the roof and he's got a gun. It was the Iranians that made sure that the local police and the Secret Service and all that they were like, hey, there's a guy on the roof and he's got a gun. And the Iranians were like, police, special services, all you guys, Secret Service, all of them, just ignore that. There's nothing to see. Don't look. Don't turn your head. That was the Iranians that handled that because they got this guy up there and they somehow infiltrated the Secret Service, but they weren't able to kill Trump. And then they took this guy whose wife was oddly working for a company that's a CIA cutout, and they got this guy to the fifth hole of Mar-a-Lago and gave him a weapon and had him waiting to plug Trump. Yeah, isn't that weird? A guy that was also had been in Ukraine supporting the Nazis in Ukraine. Those Iranians, keep an eye on them. They're slick, but that ain't all with the Iranians. The Iranians, man, they are busy dudes, right? Let's see, the Iranians. Oh, the Iran hackers stole Trump campaign files and sent them to Democrats. Iranian operatives stand accused of hacking the Trump campaign. Election interference, right? The FBI said that. Iran is involved in election interference. So we know now that the Iran is trying to assassinate Trump. Certainly the CIA and the intelligence agencies are not trying to assassinate Trump. They're trying to stop Iran from doing it. We know that the Iranians interfered in our elections. They peed in our soup. They put sugar in the gas tanks of our lawnmowers and our weed leaf blowers, so we can't blow. We have nice lawns. You know, Iranians, they hate really nice, good-looking lawns, so they did things like that. Everything, man. Everything that goes bad in the United States and in your life right now, it's all Iran. I remember when it was all Bin Laden. Remember that? Bin Laden's going to get you. Really? Yeah, he's going to blow up your local Walmart, for God's sake. Remember that when it was Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda? And I guess, well, Putin is going to get you, but maybe that's wearing through. Maybe they're shifting away. You know what it is? I just realized something. Everything was Putin is going to get you. Everywhere you look, there was blue and yellow propaganda, the color of the Ukrainian flag. And I guess now they understand maybe they're going to try to phase out of Putin's going to get you. And now it's Iran. They're flying drones. They're interfering in the election. They're trying to assassinate Trump. Man, the Iranians are busy. I got to tell you this, especially with those drones. They're all over the creation. All right. So we know that. Iranians, boom. But the government says, no foreign adversaries. And here's what's weird. Let me see this. Let's try to find another one. Those drones, here's something of consequence that I think may help serve the mystery. Look at this one. Who is behind the mystery drones buzzing over U.S. air bases? Isn't that odd? Now, if the government were flying drones, mysterious drones at that, I wonder where those drones would take off from. Certainly not U.S. air bases. Nah. Where do drones generally take off from around the world when the U.S. uses drones? U.S. air bases. I think we're getting closer here. And what does this say? Again, let's take a look at this again. Maybe this will help get us to the culprit. Who's behind the mysterious drones buzzing over U.S. air bases? Hey, I got an idea. You know, F-16s were seen flying over U.S. air bases. Helicopters that had like these weird 4 letters that look like USAF were seen flying over U.S. air bases. Various aircraft have been seen flying over U.S. air bases. What a mystery. I wonder where those aircraft came from. So let me get this straight. I look over a U.S. air base. I see an F-16 fly by. I see an E-8 Prowler fly by. I see helicopters fly by. I see all of these aircraft fly by, and every one of them is, oh, look at that. It's a U.S. air base. There's trainer planes going off. People are learning how to fly. There's bombers flying. There's all kinds of aircraft. And I say, wow, I've seen 20, and I know people that do that stuff, right? They're interested in it, and they get near, maybe out on the Patuxent River, right? You got Patuxent River Naval Air Station right there. And, you know, I fish that area a lot. You get there and you see these planes taking on, doing touchdown, you know, they could boom, they land and take off. They're training people, all kinds of stuff, right? And there are people who bring cameras with high-powered lenses on them and take pictures of them, and they're into that kind of stuff, whatever, right? So you see, I don't know, 20 different kind of aircraft land and take off from a U.S. air base, and you assume that those 20 are all from the United States Air Force. If you saw one more, and instead of 20 different types of aircraft, you saw 21 different types of aircraft, why wouldn't you assume that the 21st was also U.S. Air Force? Why would you say, hey, there's all of these planes and helicopters and various kind of aircraft flying over air bases, U.S. air bases? The safe assumption is that they're U.S. Air Force. Oh, wait a minute. There's another type. I wonder what this one is. Gee, you think it's an alien? Hey, let's see what the U.S. government says, because I know they're surely alarmed. I mean, come on. If there's something flying over U.S. airbase, and they're not sure what it is, and you know, we know that that's restricted airspace. Certainly, they'll shoot you down. You know, you can't able to fly over restricted airspace, which is U.S. airspace. You can't. I got a drone. Look at that right behind me. There's a little drone, right? I love flying my drone just for fun, taking pictures. It has the camera on it. Okay. Do you think I could go fly it over Fort Meade? Think I could go fly it over an air base? No, I'd go to jail. It's restricted airplace. They got the drone blockers that drop out of the air, and old Garland Nixon would go to jail because that is illegal. Because you're not allowed to fly them. It's not going to happen. But for some reason, let's take a look. Let's take a look. What a horrible mystery. I don't know who will never figure this one out, but let's give it a shot. White House says New Jersey drones are not from a foreign country. Foreign and domestic. That means that they are domestic. They figured that out in this great mystery. The White House says they're not foreign, so we know that they are domestic. It's been nearly a month since drones were first reported. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security said in a joint statement, there is no evidence the drones pose a threat to national security or public safety. So here's my question. They're flying over U.S. air bases, and they're flying normally over. They've been flying over naval bases, flying over U.S. military bases. But the FBI and DHS, they don't pose a threat to national security. So if something is flying over a U.S. air base and you don't know what it is, then certainly it poses a threat to national security. The only way it doesn't pose a threat to national security, there's only one way. If you know what it is. I mean, there's only two options.
Salute to our brother Vincent Brown Scott for another donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. You know, brother, I absolutely appreciate the love and the support. Salute to you.
Options, right? You got a U.S. air base, you got a U.S. military facility, and something flies over it. Either you know what it is and you're fine with it, or you don't know what it is. If you don't know what it is, it poses a threat. The only way it doesn't pose a threat, you have to know what it is. You have to have information and data on it. So we know that it's flying over U.S. air bases, U.S. military facilities.
See,
and we know that,
like I said, some of them belong to the government, but a lot of them that can't be explained, the orbs and things of that nature that's making unbelievable movement, that's not the government. That's just not them. Man, it's not the hands of man. That's period. That's why all the smoke and mirror.
So the government says it's not a threat to national security, which means it's not a threat to those air bases. Those air bases know what it is. And wouldn't you have to assume they call them air bases because they deal with things that fly? Where did it leave? It didn't just appear out of the ether. It flew from somewhere. And for some reason, at some point, it ended up in a U.S. air base, perhaps to land, perhaps to take off. Perhaps that's where it came from, right? The FBI and DHA has said both agencies were working with authorities in New York and that they have reviewed images of the drones. They appear to be manned. We've looked at the images. They appear to be manned aircraft flying legally in the area, the agency said, right? They appear to be. So they're saying they're manned and they're flying legally in the area. Well, let's go to that. There have been no reported drone sightings in restricted airspace. Well, wait a minute. They've been seen flying over U.S. air bases. It's reported. It's not denied.
Salute, family.
Which is restricted airspace. You can't fly drones over U.S. air bases. So they lied, clearly. No reported drone sightings in restricted airspaces. They said that's a lie. But it says they appear to be manned aircraft flying legally in the area, the agency said. Think about that. They're flying legally. In order to drive legally on the road, say there was a mystery car and you said, I'm in Maryland, Maryland State Police, there's a car driving with no tags on it. And Maryland State Police says, that car is driving illegally on the state of, you called, hey, State Police, yeah, Garland Nixon here, I'm calling on your emergency line. Okay, there's a car driving down the road and it has no tags and it's all over the place. And they say, yeah. Don't worry about it, sir, that car's driving legally. Well, then you know what that car is all about, don't you? How would you know it was legal if you didn't know anything about the car? They're flying legally. Well, we know they lied and said that there are no drone sightings in restricted airspaces, but we can go to the top of this article, and this article says, well, not this article, but the other articles say that it's been flying over air bases, it's been flying over military facilities. So, according to the government, it's flying over military facilities legally, which means that whoever it is either has permission or whatever to fly over. It's perfect it's not legal. I'll put it like this. It's not legal for me to fly a drone over a U.S. air base. So whoever's flying the drones over the U.S. air base, it's legal, which means they've got to have clearance from the U.S. air base. So they said they're flying legally. Nah, all good. Leave us alone. Nothing to see here. No evidence. So here's what we know the government says, that these drones don't pose a threat to national security, and that they're flying legally over U.S. military facilities. Put those together. Put those things together. They don't pose a threat to national security. They're flying over military facilities, but according to the government, it's legal for them to do that, which means they are government drones. They're military drones. I mean, how hard is that to put together, right? Government says it's legal. They're flying over military bases, and they're no threat to U.S. Oh, let me add this. And what else did we read? The government says they're not from a foreign actor or foreign adversary. So we know they're domestic. We know they're flying over U.S. air bases. We know it's legal for them to fly over U.S. air bases. And they're no threat. I think we've solved the mystery, haven't we? Let's continue. To be clear, they have uncovered no such malicious activity or intent at this stage. While there is no known malicious activity occurring in New Jersey, the reporting sightings there do, however, highlight the insufficiency of current authorities, right? White House Communications Officer John Kirby echoed similar sentiments, adding that the drones residents have spotted are not U.S. military drones. Well, I think that's a lie. And they don't appear to be a foreign country or entity. So they're not U.S. military, according to them. But they're not from foreign, which means they're domestic. Now, it could be true. You know why? What if they're intelligence? What if they're run by the CIA? What if they're run by any of the intelligence operations, right? So you've got drones. Here's a possibility, FBI, that these are drones that will be used for domestic. I'm just going to give you a possibility that the FBI is working with the U.S. military to integrate their drone program, and they're practicing using them over the U.S., New Jersey, wherever, various places, right? So now the FBI is getting a drone program. I'm just in a possibility, not saying that's true, but all we know is that if we take, well, they lie all the time, but if they're telling the truth and they're not U.S. military, and they're telling the truth that they are domestic, they're not foreign, and they're telling the truth that there's no threat to the U.S., and they're telling the truth that they're legally flying in areas where only the government is allowed to legally fly, which is U.S. military facilities, then if they're not military, then they're intelligence, they're law enforcement. So here's a possibility, and maybe even a strong one. Intelligence or FBI is flying these drones. These drones could be gathering intelligence. They could be preparing for something. They could be practicing and getting ready to be able to, so the FBI will have a drone fleet to use all over the United States against us, be it for electronic, countermeasures against the American people. They could be up there, doing electronic countermeasures. They could also be used for electronic surveillance, things of that nature. But it's clear they're government drones. It's clear. The government has made it clear. They've given us all the keys. They've said they can fly legally over U.S. bases. They're domestic. They're no threat. There ain't much left here. There ain't much left here. We keep going.
All right. Hi, everybody. I am Joe Khalil here at News Nation, and I will let Ross introduce himself here as well.
G'day, everybody. Ross Coulthart from Australia right now. But what we're talking about, Joe, of course, is this quite extraordinary situation where the White House, the Defense Department, the FBI, just about every federal agency seem to be tying themselves up in knots, trying not to explain what the hell these objects are, hovering over the skies of not just the United States, but all over the world.
Yeah, so we are seeing these drones all over the place, as Ross just said. So right now we're going to be doing an interactive discussion about what's going on from our different perches. Obviously, Ross and I have very different perspectives, me being here in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill, talking to lawmakers, and Ross, if you've been familiar with News Nation, I think you very much know what Ross does and what he brings here. So what we're doing is we're going to talk about this very generally. You're going to hear a lot from us, but this is also a discussion that involves you. So if you're watching on social media or elsewhere, you can join the conversation. You can drop questions in. And as we go, we'll take some questions and we'll kind of answer them as they come up and give you as much perspective as we can. It's going to be about a 15, 20-minute conversation. So why don't we start with Ross? Let's just go with what you are hearing, the latest from your perch and your sources about what these things may or may not be, and what the government is now doing to try to figure it out.
Okay, Joe. So what fascinates me and what I find absolutely incredible about this whole story is that as of yesterday, we've got the White House National Security Advisor, John Kirby, Admiral John Kirby, spokesperson John Kirby, essentially has said to the people of New Jersey that they are misidentifying these objects. And I can tell you, senators, congresspeople, local residents of New Jersey are fiercely angry that the White House is telling them that they're not seeing what they're seeing with their own eyes, and what they've also filmed with their own cameras, their own equipment. It is utterly ridiculous that we have a situation where the White House is making, frankly, completely false claims. The people of New Jersey are not alone. There are now sightings of purported drones all over the world, over sensitive military bases. I noticed Gwaine has asked on YouTube, when did this whole saga start? Well, it didn't just start a couple of weeks ago in late November. This issue is one that we've been reporting on my show, Reality Check, for several months now, that there have been sightings of anomalous objects, so-called drones, according to the Defense Department, over very sensitive defense facilities, the Eglin Air Force Base, the Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. There've been, we're told by sources inside those bases, repeated attempts to bring those objects down with counter-UAS electromagnetic weapons. They have failed. They also have not been able to find the frequency that these drones are purportedly being transmitted to or from on. Essentially, my understanding, Joe, is that the FBI and the Defense Department are completely in the dark. That's the thing that is at the heart of all of this. The White House, as you know, I'm sure you can fill us more in on this. The Defense Department spokespeople, Sabrina, has actually said that there is no evidence that this is a foreign adversary nation. And she also, in a statement to media a day ago, also said that there is no evidence that this is American military technology. Yeah. So we're running out of possible explanations for what these objects are.
So we'll take it from what the White House said. We heard Thursday, John Kirby, as you referenced, Ross, repeat that there is no evidence so far that any of these drones, we'll call them, are a foreign adversary. No evidence, he says, that they pose any threat to the public on the ground. And he said that there are several sightings that ended up truly being manned aircraft that were mistaken for like a mysterious drone, unmanned vehicle, when in fact there was a pilot and they were lawfully there. I want to start there because Senator Andy Kim, he was a House member days ago. He's now a U.S. Senator from New Jersey. He went back to New Jersey and was with local law enforcement on the ground there who were seeing these things. So they took him to a hot spot. Sure enough, last night, they saw some of these things. And Andy Kim not only took out his cell phone as a U.S. Senator, started recording what he saw, but he and the local officers also opened the flight tracker app. Why this is important is because John Kirby said some of these things have been misidentified. They're actually airplanes or they're manned, aircraft. If they were airplanes with a pilot, they would have been on the flight tracker app. In other words, they were supposed to be in the sky and they were, nothing to see here. what Andy Kim and what the officers were seeing from the ground was not on the app. So in other words, whatever these drones were, what in the sky that he's looking at and he's recording, were not supposed to be there. So that does tend, at least somewhat, to push back on this narrative that everything that people are recording from the ground, they're mistaking for something that is just routine and normal, right? So I thought that was a really important development, because it's not just coming from some observer who you don't know. This is a sitting U.S. senator who is broadcasting and telling us with visual evidence here, no, actually, we don't know what these things are. I'll just add this, Ross. Every time I talk to lawmakers this week about this topic, there is a real sense of frustration, because when I talk to many of them, I can sort of tell when there's classified information that they don't want to tell me, and sometimes for good reason. It's, as much as that frustrates me as a reporter, I want to get that information, but I understand things are classified if it's about sensitive things, military or what have you. I'm not getting that sense. I'm not getting the sense that they're holding back. I think they genuinely don't know. And I think the lawmakers I'm talking to, they genuinely think the FBI and the Pentagon are being real with them when they say they don't know what these things are. So that in itself should be concerning, and you can understand why people who are living in New Jersey and New York seeing these things, when they hear the White House say, we don't know what they are, but no reason to worry, they might take that with a grain of salt and say, I want to know more before I make the decision that I'm not concerned about what I'm seeing.
I agree, Joe. And I think at the moment there are two competing narratives happening here. All of us inevitably have a suspicion that governments know a lot more than they're prepared to let on publicly. Yeah. And so I think you and I both...
Which is a valid thought, right?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I'm very careful about is often, for very good national security reasons, somebody like you or me might get a phone call from a senior official in an intelligence service or the Defense Department, and they might say, hey guys, privately, we can tell you, yes, there is something happening, but we can't talk about it right now. For that reason, be aware, there are sensitivities here that can't be discussed. Now, originally, at the very beginning of all of this, I was being told breathlessly by people in the intelligence community that they were reasonably confident that this was Russian drones, that the Russians were deploying drones, particularly over RAF Lakenheath, the Royal Air Force Base in the United Kingdom. And when it became clear that there were no Russian ships off the coast, that there was no way of explaining how these drones could have been deployed from the ocean, the argument then became, it's Russian organized crime gangs that are deploying these drones on behalf of the Russian government. Then when that narrative fell away, it was, it must be China. Yes, and the audio signatures of what we're hearing on these drones are very similar to or identical to the audio signatures that we use to assess that these are Chinese drones. Now I'm hearing we have no idea. And that's very disturbing because, frankly, I think we're getting mixed messages. And it's at a time like this, when you have mixed messages, when clearly the White House is saying one thing. For example, I hear John Kirby's a really nice guy, and I hate having to focus on him, but Admiral John Kirby, the national security spokesperson for the White House, made a very serious error when he took on the people of New Jersey and suggested that they were misidentifying these craft. More importantly, he also said publicly that there were no reported or confirmed incursions of drones or supposed drones over any restricted sensitive airspace. And we know for a fact, because I'm in touch with Katie Carrada from WPIX, which is one of the local affiliates that News Nation has in the New Jersey area. Katie had talked to the Picatinny Arsenal base commander, who'd issued a statement confirming that 11 reported and confirmed drones have now been absolutely definitively identified to have entered the restricted airspace over Picatinny. And Picatinny, as you'd know, Joe, it's one of the most sensitive weapons arsenals on the entire east coast of the United States. Add to that, there's also been at least 2 confirmed incursions over the Earl base, which is also in New Jersey. There's clearly a dissonance between what the White House is saying at the very top levels of government in the national security sphere, and you've got local base commanders who I know are absolutely screaming that they're getting these incursions over their sites. We're just getting completely mixed messages.
Yeah.
And what the problem with that is, you end up getting an information vacuum, and then the public starts speculating. And so I don't want to give any credibility at all to what I'm about to say here, and I don't want people to think that there is any truth to these allegations. But I've even had people say to me breathlessly, there's a coup d'etat underway from sections of the military-industrial complex who are worried about Trump. Total wild speculation. Another one is people are suggesting to me that the drones are part of a secret government operation to look for a nuclear weapon that's been buried somewhere in New Jersey. These are wild, inflammatory, and I suspect grossly untrue statements. But they're a really good example of why the government, if it doesn't know, it needs to tell the truth. It needs to come clean. Otherwise, this is going to escalate.
Usually it's in that void of information, as you mentioned, where you get people speculating and then the conspiracy based on no evidence comes forward. Let's take some of these questions. So Chris asks why we're not hearing from whistleblowers about this. Ross may have a better answer to that question. Chris, I would just say that you need to know what these things actually are for you to have a whistleblower come forward and say, the FBI knows but isn't telling you. Again, I could be wrong about this, and this is just based on my reporting here at the Capitol. But it's my sense that very high-level senators and members of Congress in the House who serve on committees like the Intelligence Committee, the Armed Services Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, these people who are very privy to information the rest of us are not. It's my genuine sense they are not getting the information because they do not know. If the FBI or if the Department of Homeland Security knew what was going on, what these things actually were, you might have somebody come forward in a whistleblower type fashion and say, hey, you know what? I think the American public deserves to know what these things are. I'm going to leak it. But the reason I believe that is actually not known is because if I were to talk to a lawmaker and say, hey, what are these things? They may look at me, someone who I have an established relationship with, and say, Joe, I can't really talk about that right now. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying, we're not hearing a damn thing. That is genuinely the situation. So I can, Ross, if you want to take another crack at that, but I think that's why, we're not seeing any whistleblowers, because you need to actually see something to blow the whistle on. And in this case, I don't think we have that yet, at least not yet.
Okay, so I can give some light on this. I am talking to whistleblowers, people who are aware of the FBI's situation, where the FBI stands on this. I can tell you that inside the FBI, there is a near panic about what's going on because they have no answers at all. The whistleblowers, if you like, the insiders, are telling me that, frankly, they are scrambling for answers, genuinely mystified as to what these objects are, and they are as bemused and bewildered by the White House's attempts to placate public interest in this issue as we are. Moreover, as I'm hearing increasingly, Joe, I just get flooded every day with people sending me new information. And what I'm hearing is that there have been sightings as far away as Germany. Reuters is reporting today that there have been drones flying over sensitive military facilities in Germany. There's previously been reports that I've reported on involving the British aircraft carrier, the Queen Elizabeth II, in dock in Hamburg being buzzed by a drone. Originally, I was being told that that drone was flying very close to a Chinese-owned section of the port, and so the suspicion was that it was Chinese. There's no truth to that, I'm told. Essentially, they have no idea where these purported drones are coming from. Moreover, I am in touch with people who are still doing surveillance of British bases which American pilots fly out of in the United Kingdom, including bases which are rumored to have deployed new nuclear weapons. One of the speculations was that because nuclear weapons had been deployed into the mainland UK again by the United States because of the heightened sensitivities with Russia, the speculation was that these drones might be some display of force by the Russians in order to spook the British and the Americans about the deployment of long-range missiles, which are now being used inside Russian territory from Ukraine. Again, my sources are telling me that yes, they are seeing these supposed drones. People are only calling them objects. They're not calling them drones. Many people I'm speaking to say they do not believe that these are drones. People all over the world. I've got reports from China. I've got reports from Russia, Australia. There've been drones supposedly or objects seen over Sydney Airport, which is only a short distance from where I live. There's been objects seen over Rotorua in New Zealand, another country adjacent to where I live. Indonesia, Japan. This is not an exclusively national US problem. And that's what I think people are failing to get. And Joe, I, for the life of me, do not understand why, after the hullabaloo of the February 2023 shoot downs, when we had a major public hysteria about a Chinese balloon going across the continental USA, I, for the life of me, do not understand why we are not talking about this in the mainstream media outside of News Nation. One more point I wanted to make. In the news special that we're going to be doing on primetime on Saturday night for News Nation, there's two experts, John and Jerry Tedesco, who are citizen scientists who I've reported on for Reality Check. I touched in with them because they mentioned to me they've got a mobile laboratory that they locate off Long Island, on the beach off Long Island, near Fire Island, Long Island. And incredibly, they have been contacted by the FBI, or shall we say a federal agency, I'm assuming it's the FBI, and the FBI gave them a list of 10 questions. And the 10 questions clearly reveal that they have no idea what's going on. So that's secondary corroboration of what I'm hearing from primary sources inside the FBI, that the premier national security federal agency that we entrust to secure our country is completely in the dark on what these objects are.
So I'm glad you brought up the special tomorrow night, Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Time. This is going to be a special that encompasses basically the week that was, all from A to Z, what's going on with these sightings. And my small sliver of it is just what we're seeing on Capitol Hill. Ross, I'll build on what you just said here about the FBI seemingly, you having now firsthand and seemingly secondary sourcing that hints they really genuinely don't understand what's going on here. There was a hearing just a couple of days ago in the Homeland Security Committee, the United States Congress, in the House, and there was a representative from the FBI. During that hearing, several lawmakers were asking questions about what they can do, what capabilities they have to try to at least understand what we're seeing, what some of these images are on your screen right now. And several times the FBI representative in that hearing was soliciting information from the public, sort of pleaded to give us.
I'm just going to talk to that image there for a moment, Joe. I haven't actually seen that one, but that is just extraordinary.
Yeah.
What it appears to show, I mean, obviously the official line has been that these are drones, okay? Now, if these are military drones, even highly advanced military drones of some kind, we know that they're not from a foreign nation because the Pentagon has categorically denied that. Well, what the hell kind of drone is capable of, as we can see here, receiving some kind of an object? I mean, that inescapably looks like some kind of object, secondary orb-shaped object, is actually moving towards a hovering drone of some kind and engaging with it. I've never seen technology like that. And this is one of the issues that I know the FBI are investigating, that people are now reporting. And in fact, one of the one of the local mayors that we've interviewed on tomorrow night's special, Sam Morris, who is from Mine Hill Township. He talked about the fact in the interview with us that these objects appear to be showing stealth, that people are reporting that when they get close to these objects, when they're moving towards them, when helicopters have been engaging with them, they all of a sudden seem to go dark. And this is something I'm hearing from multiple people, that this is displaying what we would call one of the 5 observables. And so one of the key things that we look at when we're talking about unidentified anomalous phenomena, there are a minimum of 5 observables that are used to test whether this phenomena is at all anomalous. And we're being told, okay, you've got the official line that these are drones. So far, Joe, nobody has presented any evidence at all that these objects are drones. And one of the aspects of UAPs, of perhaps potential non-human intelligence, is what's called mimicry. There are scientific papers that have been published that have reported that on occasion these anomalous objects sometimes take on the appearance of planes or helicopters or indeed drones. And I really do think we need to start asking the question, is that what we are seeing here? Because also we are seeing other anomalous aspects to these objects. In some cases, I've seen people post videos. Obviously, I haven't been able to authenticate those videos where the objects appear to instantaneously move across the sky, or where they display stealth, where I think in one case there was an F-16 jet over the Lakenheath base in the United Kingdom about 3 weeks ago, was moving towards one of these glowing orbs on the horizon. It was taken on a long shot from one of the viewers outside of the base. As the jet moved to engage with this supposed drone object, the drone object moved off at a speed faster than the F-16 jet. Now, these objects, whatever they are, most commercial military drones do not have the capacity to fly as fast as an F-16 jet. Yeah. The other thing that I know is being reported inside the Pentagon and also inside the Defense Department, sources of mine are telling me that these objects have been tracked well above 25,000 feet. And the reason that's significant, sometimes as high as 50,000 feet, the reason that's significant is because most drone technology can only fly to a height of about 20 to 25,000 feet. So something is displaying performance characteristics that are coming dangerously close to what we call the 5 observables: instantaneous acceleration, hypersonic velocity, transmedium travel, stealth, and positive lift. Propulsion systems that do not display any kind of known propulsion system. There's no jet turbines. There's no propellers. These objects are not showing, I'm told, the normal infrared signatures that would be compatible with a powered aircraft. This is the issue. There is a huge information gap here. And what I'm hearing from people who are genuinely concerned inside the defense community, inside the intelligence community, and particularly inside the FBI, is that they're not getting any explanation from the Defense Department. And we all assume that the Defense Department knows what it's going to be talking about. We all assume that they have these omniscient surveillance systems. I'm told those surveillance systems are not working on these objects, that they are losing these objects when they try and track them back to source, especially when, as has been reported, these objects are seen moving out across the ocean. Yeah. So there are so many unanswered questions, Joe, and we're just not getting any answers. In fact, we're getting contradictory statements from the White House.
And I'll just add, even the governor of New Jersey on the record, this isn't something that is being whispered behind closed doors. On the record, he said as much, that when our helicopters have tried to approach and shine lights on these things, they, in his words, quote, go dark. So that is something that is already well established here. So we're going to wrap this up. Ross, thank you for doing this. And again, just
Coffee. Follow me.